Unless you have more.
No,
Already.
no,
Okay.
anecdotes.
She's going in.
All right, we will call our meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, so first on the agenda today, we have our public hearings for our licenses. So, we can have a motion to open the public hearing on one, and we can include 1A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to J. We can do them by the number that they are. So can I have a motion?
Motion, so moved. Second.
All right. Our motion, our second, we'll go for a roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. This is our public hearing on the alcoholic beverage licenses. Does council have anything they'd like to say? Does the public have anything they'd like to say? Or anybody online? Right, and we have a motion to close our public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All right, we'll go for a roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. We do have to go through them one at a time, though. So we'll go for the first one. Want to just go right down the line?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the complete application for a Class A package store retail liquor license of NRP Incorporated doing business as Wyoming Package Store located at 1199 Main Street.
I'll second it. So we got our motion, our second. Any council discussion? All right, we'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, you want to take number or letter B?
Sure, motion to approve the application for a Class A retail liquor license of Cello LLC, DBA Richmond Wine and Liquors, subject to fire inspection, proof of insurance, license fee, and advertising fee.
Second.
We got our motion, our second. Any council discussion? All right, go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, I'll take C, motion to approve the incomplete application for a Class BL victualler of All Cost LLC, DBA Town Pizza 2, located at 18 Kingstown Road, subject to fire inspection and advertisement fee.
Second.
Got a motion, our second. Any discussion? We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Would you take D?
Sure. Motion to approve the complete Class B victual application for Dragon Palace Incorporated doing business as Dragon Palace located at 1210 Main Street. Preserve Property Management Company LLC doing business as the Preserve White Birch Cafe located at 2 Bumblebee Lane. Preserve Property Management Company LLC doing business as the Preserve Double Barrel Kitchen located at 87A Kingstown Road. And Preserve Property Management Company LLC doing business as Hearth and Horizon Barn located at 17 Bumblebee Lane.
Second.
All right, we got our motion, our second. Seeing no discussion, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Jeff, would you take E?
Sure.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve incomplete Class B victualler application of Philippus Twisted Pizza located at 1203 Main Street, subject to advertisement fee and certificate of good standing.
Second.
Our motion, our second. Seeing no discussion, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Motion to approve the incomplete Class B victualler application subject to license fee and advertisement fee for Richmond Country Club located at 74 Sandy Pond Road and Richmond Smoke LLC located at 1219 Main Street.
Second. Go for discussion?
Yes.
Sure.
So on a couple of these, in reviewing them, there were some discrepancies in the paperwork. And because these are liquor licenses, which I think are very important, and we asked the applicants to certify to a number of things about themselves and their companies, I think it's important that we be clear that the person signing the application in the affidavit is in fact an authorized representative of the corporation or LLC that they purport to be signing on behalf of. So with respect to Richmond Country Club, the application was signed by Jason Hendrick, who represents it. He is the president and a member of the board of directors. He also refers to himself as the, I thought he said owner, but anyway, he's the president and member of the board. According to the Secretary of State's website and the last annual report filed by Richmond Country Club, Inc., Jason Hendrick is not an officer of the corporation. The officers are Peter Hendrick and Sandra Hendrick. So I would just, as a condition of this license, we need a proper corrected application or some clarification as to why there's a discrepancy between the applicant's information and what's on the Secretary of State's website.
Go ahead, solicitor.
So, Mr. Reynolds, would an executed corporate authorization, in other words, a corporate vote by the board of directors, authorizing the individual who signed, would you consider that acceptable?
For most of them, the only problem I have with this, and that's why I think the application needs to be corrected, is he's the president, and it doesn't appear that he is. So I think that needs to be corrected, but yes, something indicating that he is authorized to sign on behalf of the corporation is fine. And there are a couple of, this isn't the only one, there are a couple of others that are the same, so.
So we could have them submit a new affidavit of amended application prior to, with either that authority or someone else on his behalf, or someone who has that authority, according to the Secretary of State.
Right.
Or
Makes sense.
according to the board of directors?
Yeah, either an authorization from the board that whoever signed is authorized to sign on behalf of the corporation.
Yes.
Or they have someone else sign, but I also think this application, this is the only one where there seems to be a mistake concerning who the officer was, and it's understandable. They have different companies, and sometimes people forget who's an officer of what. So it's understandable how it could happen, but I think we just, to make sure we're doing our due diligence. Because if something happens and the licensing comes into question, we need to make sure we've done our due diligence. So I just think that needs to be fixed as a condition on this one. Similarly with Richmond Smoke, and this is a little different. It's an LLC, so you don't get as much information on the Secretary of State's website, but the person who signed the application, Jennifer Procaccianti, who represents herself as the owner, is not listed on the Secretary of State's website as the manager of the LLC or a member of the LLC. And she didn't sign the last annual report on behalf of the LLC. So again, I just want to make sure that she is authorized by the LLC to execute the application and the affidavit of compliance.
That makes sense to me. So we'll need to amend our motion that's on the floor to add that in.
Yes, so it would be to condition upon evidence of corporate authority
Mhm.
for the country club and authorization from the members and or managers of the LLC to have the individual who's completing the application sign.
Perfect. That was your motion. Is that okay with you?
So move.
All right, it was my second, so I'll second it. Any further council discussion on this one? All right, we'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, so now we're on G. Mark, do you want to take this motion?
Yeah, so motion to approve the Class B victualler license of Meadowbrook Golf Course, subject to fire inspection, certificate of good standing, license fee, advertising fee, and a proper certificate of compliance. Because on this one, the certificate of compliance that was attached says it's being executed on behalf of Richmond Country Club. not Meadowbrook Golf Course, which is a separate corporate entity.
Second. Any further discussion on that? All right, we'll for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. H, I'm gonna split it into two because I'm gonna make a motion for A and C, and then B, I'm gonna ask somebody else to do it so I can recuse. So I'm gonna make a motion to accept the incomplete application for Class B victualler, subject to fire inspection, license fee, and advertisement fee for Young Lao Inc., DBA Valley Village, restaurant located at 1172 Main Street, and Clover Hospitality LLC, DBA Lana's Ale House, located at 343 Kingstown Road.
Second.
Got a motion or a second? Any discussion on these two? We'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
So I will do the motion to approve the incomplete Class B victual application subject to fire inspection, license fees and advertisement fees for B Wood River Bar and Grill located 1139 Main Street.
Second.
Any council discussion? We'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
I think you recused.
I'm sorry, recusal. It's a habit. I have my form here. Thank you for catching me, solicitor, and I know everyone was like, what are you doing?
Let me do this one.
No, on to I, and it's Counselor Dinsmore's turn.
Motion to approve incomplete Class B victualler application of Road Foods LLC, DBA Elena's Coffee House located at 93 Kingstown Road, subject to fire inspection, license fee, advertisement fee, and proof of insurance.
Second, go ahead.
So this one, the affidavit of compliance was executed, it says on behalf of Elena's Ale House, which is not Rhodes Foods LLC, so that needs to be corrected. And that could be a linking thing. I don't know if, paperwork, okay. So they need to submit an affidavit, a new affidavit of compliance on behalf of Road Foods.
All right, any further
So amend the motion.
Include that?
friendly amendment to include the affidavit of compliance?
Friendly amendment to include the affidavit of compliance.
There we go. Any further council discussion? All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
What was that?
I didn't know if we seconded again, but
You don't have to.
Right.
Counselor Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, on to J.
Yeah. Motion to approve the incomplete Class B victualler application of Pinecrest Golf Course Incorporated doing business as Pinecrest Golf Course, located at 25 Pinehurst Drive, subject to fire inspection.
Second.
All right, any council discussion on this one? All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, that brings us through the alcohol licenses and on to, we to open a public hearing. I'll just make a motion to open the public hearing for the victualling additional hour licenses.
Second.
Any council discussion on the public hearing? All right, we'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, anybody have anything they'd like to say on these licenses? Anybody in the public or online? Can we have a motion to close our public hearing?
So move.
Second.
We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, now we'll make our votes. Since they're all subject to the same thing, we can do it all in one swoop. Perfect. Whose turn was it? Your turn? Go.
My turn?
Yeah.
Motion to accept the victualling additional hours licenses of Wyoming Donuts, Inc., DBA Dunkin' Donuts, Rich Donuts, Inc., DBA Dunkin' Donuts, Beaver River Donuts, Inc., DBA Dunkin' Donuts, Casback LLC, DBA McDonald's, Global Montello Group Corp., DBA Mobile, and Cumberland Farms number 1254.
Second it. Any council discussion on these? We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, now I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the complete application for the seasonal recreation license renewal of Wawaloom RV LLC, DBA Wawaloom Campground located at 510 Gardner Road.
Second.
Go for a roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Any council discussion while the public hearing is open? Anybody in person or online? We do, yes.
From Wawaloom, that's all.
Yeah, we have no questions for you, but thank you for being here. All right, with that then, can we have a motion to close our public hearing?
So,
Second.
Go for a roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, on to licenses. Yes. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Go for it. Make a motion,
Sure,
please.
motion to approve the complete application for seasonal recreation license renewal of Wawaloam RV LLC, DBA Wawaloam Campground located at 510 Gardner Road.
Second.
Motion and second. Any council discussion? Oh, go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, Counselor Dinsmore, your turn. Item 1 on licenses, please. We don't have to open and close anymore.
Motion to approve issuance of a holiday license for Aubuchon Ace Hardware.
Any council discussion? All right, we'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, Counselor Madnick, you're up.
Motion to approve the complete application renewals for a holiday license as reviewed for application completeness on October 15th, 2025 for Beaver River Tree Farm, Charahoe Furniture Incorporated, Morgan's Woodwork Shop Incorporated, Jules Antiques and General Store, Ocean State Job Lot Stores of Rhode Island Incorporated, Wood River Stagecoach Inn, JAG Enterprises doing business as Beaver River Golf Club, Richmond Market, Roots on Main, NRP Incorporated doing business as Wyoming Package Store, Pinecrest Golf Course, Mandalay Properties LLC doing business as Fetch RI, Preserve Property Management Co. LLC, the O Spa, Preserve Range Management Co. LLC, the Sporting Shop, CVS Pharmacy, and Wawaloam RV LLC doing business as Wawaloam Campground.
Second.
All right, any council discussion? We'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Number 3, please, Counselor Reynolds.
Motion to approve the applications for holiday license, subject to payment of license fee and retail sales tax permit for CeeLo LLC, DBA Richmond Wine and Liquors, Richmond Country Club, and Meadowbrook Golf Course.
Second.
Any council discussion? All right, Counselor Dinsmore, how do you vote?
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the complete application for victualling license for completeness on October 15th, 2025 for Celebrated LLC, DBA Celebrated, Cumberland Farms, Inc., number 1254, Dragon Palace LLC, DBA Dragon Palace, Flippo's Twisted Pizza, Casback LLC, DBA McDonald's, Lickety Splits, Navigator Coffee Company, Inc., DBA Higher Grounds, Pinecrest Golf Course, Richmond Market, Washington County, Sonoma Grange, DBA The Washington County Fair, Beaver River Donuts, DBA Dunkin' Donuts, Rich Donuts, DBA Dunkin' Donuts, Wyoming Donuts, DBA Dunkin' Donuts, Alcost LLC, DBA Town Pizza 2, Global Montello Group Corp., DBA Mobile, Reserve Property Management Company, LLC, Hearth and Horizon Barn, Reserve Property Management Company, LLC, White Birch Cafe, Preserve Property Management Company, LLC, Double Barrel Kitchen, Starbucks Corporation, DBA Starbucks Coffee, 69588, Wawaloom RV LLC, DBA Wawaloom Campground.
Second.
Thank you. Any council discussion on this one? All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. You're on this one. If you could please pull F out of it.
Okay, got it. All right, so motion to approve the incomplete application renewal for a victualling license, subject to payment of license fees as reviewed for application completeness on October 15th, 2025 for A, Young Lao Incorporated, DBA Valley Village Restaurant, B, Clover Hospitality LLC, DBA Elena's Ale House, C, Road Foods LLC, doing business as Elena's Coffee House, D, Richmond Country Club, E, Meadowbrook Golf Course, and G, Richmond Smoke LLC.
Second. Any council discussion? We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
So motion to approve the incomplete application renewal for a victual license subject to payment and of license fees as reviewed for application completeness on October 15th, 2025 for F Wood River Bar and Grill.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself is recusing. All right, on to number 6. That is Counselor Dinsmore's turn.
Make a motion to approve complete applications for secondhand dealer junkyard licenses as reviewed for application completeness on October 15th, 2025. A, Jules Antiques and General Store. B, Zampini Auto Wrecking LLC.
Second.
Council discussion? Go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Motion to approve the incomplete application for an indoor entertainment license for Richmond Smoke LLC, subject to zoning confirmation and payment of fees as reviewed for completeness on October 15th, 2025.
Second.
Any council discussion? All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Motion to approve the indoor entertainment license, subject to fire inspection and payment of fees of Wood River Bar and Grill.
Second.
Any council discussion? We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself recusing. I think you did.
But I missed that part.
You did it. All right. On to, just want to take a second to thank our staff for another smooth year of all of these licenses. I know it's a lot of work, so thank you
Yes.
both so much. And then we'll go on to appointments and resignations. We have a discussion and consideration of Carl Kutu from the Affordable Housing Committee, Planning Board, and Rich Task Force.
Motion to accept with regret the resignation of Carl J. Kutu from the Affordable Housing Committee, the Planning Board, and the Rich Task Force.
Second.
All right, any discussion? We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. On to our consent agenda. I'd like to discuss the minutes. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to pull?
Going to pull the minutes as well because I have to abstain, so I cannot vote yes.
Well, that works. All right,
So motion to approve consent agenda items 2A through A through E and 3.
Second.
we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. I just wanted to add to the minutes, if I could, that the person whose job performance was being discussed was notified. We did say it, but it wasn't in the minute. Other than that, I'll make a motion to approve with that amendment.
Second.
You have more?
Oh, he's,
No.
Oh,
Going
you're
to-
accusing, sorry.
go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Abstain.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, on to public forum. The purpose of public forum is to give members of the public an opportunity to address the town council for items not on the agenda. We ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. You will have one opportunity to address the council during public forum. This is out of courtesy to others who wish to speak to ensure we have equal time for all. There will be a timer that will go off when your 3 minutes are up, so you know when to finish. If you need more time, we welcome you to submit your comments in writing to the town clerk to be included as a part of the record in the communications section of the agenda. All comments should be directed to the town council president and no other person present. Do we have anybody for public forum? Sure, go ahead, Mr. Parker, and then I'll get you in the back.
Gary Parker, Richmond. Madam President, thank you very much. The EDC, the Economic Development Commission, met with Phil Demesis this morning, as well as the planner. Had a very fruitful conversation. I think we would agree that the 3 of us, and as well as the planning board chairman, had a good meeting of the minds to discuss how to attack the table of uses. And as far as the recommendations regarding the table of uses, that got placed back into the planning board a couple of weeks ago. So approximating consensus. So at any rate, just want to let you know that we had that meeting today now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great.
Appreciate the
Thank
update.
Thank you.
All right. Joan, you're up. Please do state your name for the record.
Good evening, everyone. Madam President, Chair, and the committee. I'd like to know this year if we're gonna have a creche for Christmas out on our lawn. You did have the menorah last year, and that's represented the Jewish and Israeli faith. And I think Christmas, which is Christmas, if you look at what that derives from, the Greek and the Latin, it means Christ's Mass. So therefore, I want to know if you're going to do anything as far as putting a creche there. And if you do not have donations, I gladly donate to do something.
Thank you. I know at this time, just to leave your question answered, but the rec commission may be one we can ask because they do set up the tree lighting.
Okay, now the other question I have is, if they pass the budget to build the unified school, what would you do with the property, or is there any plans for the property or consideration for the property of the elementary school, Richmond Elementary School? Are there anything in the works?
I don't think we can say anything definitive. I know different
But
people have
have you been
different
thinking
ideas.
about anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, who's not thinking about what they could do with that property, right? Do you think it would be an appropriate, like, I just feel like that's a really big discussion to bring up in public forum. Because there's a lot of great ideas that have been brought to the table, but I'll let you respond.
Yeah,
as well.
Madam Chair, I'm just gonna say, we appreciate your question, but just as you know, the rules do stipulate that if there's something that may be on a future agenda, it's difficult for us to address here. So our silence is not saying that we won't,
A negative.
but it has to be on a future agenda and we would discuss it there. I think it's a great point, but we can't discuss it now.
Okay, I think that's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public forum? Please state your name for the record.
David Way. So I've got some questions regarding the school plan, right? This unified school. And I like briefly looked at these numbers and they were like through the roof, right? And I think a lot of people would agree. And I don't know where to like address my questions, really, based on like what's the current square footage of the buildings, how many are enrolled.
The best place to address this question is tonight at 7 p.m. There's a school committee meeting are they in the library or are they in the auditorium? Library. Because it's not necessarily our decision.
Yep.
It's the school committee's decision. So I
Gotcha.
think that they would be able, unless somebody here knows the square footage and can answer that, but
Well,
they're gonna answer a lot more than just that this evening, for sure.
okay, well, I guess like moving forward, the school committee can make many decisions that might affect, you guys and many other people. But I've got some experience with pricing out commercial buildings now. And what I see, like the price per square foot could be literally through the roof. And when it comes to municipal buildings and town buildings, they can often be gouged. And where they are in their phase could be important to the town, meaning if they're in like schematic design, there's still chances to make decisions. If they're in their design development phase, if they'd entered into any contracts and there's not breaks in the contract where they can exit that, there could be some really smart decisions to be made is all.
Yeah.
So that's a school committee
Yes, it's at the Cherho campus.
Okay.
In the library, the high school library.
tonight.
Tonight at 7. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
And I would just say, I would encourage you to go and ask your questions,
Mhm.
but they have not even gotten to the point of designing a building. What's been put out there are just schematics to give people an idea of what a unified school would look like. So they can say, which option do we want to go forward with? And if they go forward with that option, then it would move to a design
And
cost.
construction drawings.
Yeah, exactly.
But only once you reach construction drawings can you get firm numbers from builders. So when you have numbers associated with the options, it's really ambiguous to the public.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you haven't gone through all the due diligence of the planning phase.
Yeah, well, the process has been going on for a while, but I would encourage you to go and
Okay.
tonight, you got time to get there.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would also encourage you, you seem like you have a lot of expertise to attend the building committee meetings.
Yeah.
Because your experience and skills might be very helpful to the building committee. They did have to put together a building committee, even though they don't have the approval to go forward with the process, but it's required to set it up. I was on the previous building committee, and having someone with that background would be extremely helpful to those volunteers and everyone who's involved.
Who would I reach out to?
I think our committee right now is full, so as far as being a member, I don't know if there's space, but future meetings can be found on the Secretary of State's website. And usually it's posted like at town hall and the police station as well.
Do we know who the chair is of the building committee?
Not off the top of my head. Oh, that's our, yeah, sure, go ahead, Councilor Palmigano.
I want to make sure if you had the answer to that question, was it? I had another point just to say that, as the other council members have said, with your expertise, Mr. Wade, there are always openings on boards and commissions. And I would encourage you to think about that too. It sounds like you have a unique perspective, and we do have an opening now on the planning board too. So if you have any questions about that, I don't know if you've done that before, or that interests you or not, but it's so great to see people who are engaged, have concerns, bring their own expertise. That's the kind of involvement that we need in the town. So please consider.
Okay, appreciate
For
that.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other public forum or anybody online? All right, awesome. We will go on to our next item, which is reports. We'll turn it over to Erin.
Okay, so first item's not on the agenda. I would just like to extend a huge thanks to the Recreation Commission for a very successful first annual Fall Festival. I'd also like to thank the staff that supported that, DPW, police detail, our former Public Works Director, Fire Chief Scott Barber, Kate Schimmel, and Human Services. They really put together an excellent event. I was very glad to see the representation of all the boards and committees that were there, the 250th Land Trust. And everything I heard was very positive feedback. And so I'm sure that will be a regular occurrence for years to come. So thank you very much to the Recreation Commission. Kudos to a great event.
Second.
So my first item of business is to apply to the Rhode Island Department of Health for project priority funding. We were selected through the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank for water tank mixers. I know we've talked a lot about water, and there was some earlier discussions about the tank mixers. It doesn't appear, I don't believe I don't want to get too much into that because that's not really on the agenda, but time is of the essence to apply for this because it's based on funding on how much they have left over. So I've been working with our water operator very closely. We believe that this project will be completely funded by tax forgiveness funding. So it won't cost the water users or the town residents anything. The project believes to go under the $100,000 mark, and we believe will come in very close to that in the 90,000. So, but should it not, obviously we'll have future discussions, but so the first part is to request authorization to apply for the infrastructure bank. Should we get selected by the Department of Health, then I'd like advance authorization to not hold up the project, to solicit bids for the project. And certainly I think we've all learned a lot in these last few months with water, and that bidding process will be very diligent and contracts in a way to ensure that it is appropriately installed. So this is a really great improvement to our water system. It is something that I think would take our water users many years to pay for should we not take advantage of this funding. However, it's not a guarantee. So I wouldn't, you have to come back to award the bid. We wouldn't award the bid without authorization of the funding. So that's a two-part piece for item A and B.
Awesome. I got two hands over here. We'll go for Jim then.
I'm just going to say, to make a motion before discussion, can I make a motion combining the two, A and B?
Sure.
Sure. So a motion to authorize the application for the Rhode Island Department of Health project of priority funding through Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank for installation of a water tank mixer, and pre-authorization for the interim town administrator to solicit bids for the water tank mixer project, should the project be approved and funded by the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, Jeff, go
Well,
ahead.
you did make the motion. So you should go first.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just, and because it does say mixer on there, mixer's on there. Are we investigating that issue of why there never was a mixer and we paid for it in the first place?
So I don't want to go too deep into this process, but It doesn't appear that we've paid for it. There's no invoicing that shows it. There was one reference in a report that showed that. However, I've been working with the operator on a weekly, almost daily basis on water system upgrades, and he needs to get to Department of Health archives to formalize that so he can say yes. But there is no evidence of billing that we've paid for that mixer. It was referenced in a report, so we believe that that was where
Okay,
that confusion, but I can't 100% rule that out right now,
but you're on it.
but we're on it.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I just wanted to thank Aaron and the staff for doing this so quickly because I think that it's way long overdue. But I mean, you're getting it done very fast, and I just hope that people, you know, in town appreciate that. So.
Thank you. Any other council discussion? We'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
So my next item is, unfortunately, we have two members of our public works department out on injury, and it was during service hours, so I won't speak too much more of that, but we do feel in conversations with Public Directors Robot, we're getting concerned about staffing levels. Again, we're heading into winter when we need staffing full. We just almost became fully staffed and had one go out and then now the second. So we're down 2 guys, and part of some of the agreement to bring on an extra public works director a few years ago is that that individual would support the cleaning of town hall, public works, the police department, and the senior center. I would like to authorization to go out to bid for contracted professional cleaning services, specifically town hall, police department, and the senior center, with an add-on to public works, because that's not really a public building, just for costs for at least 6 months to get us to that budget cycle. I reviewed, Danielle's provided me the numbers. We believe, certainly we won't know till we get the bid, but we believe the savings of not paying those staff members for the time period we have been not paying, we believe we'll be able to move that funding over to that source to at least get us to the next budget cycle. And then we can make next steps in the upcoming budget cycle to make a formal permanent recommendation. So this would be for like a 6-month contract to the next fiscal year at this point to go out to bid for that.
All right, any council questions? I'm sure I got Mark first, and I'll go to Jeff.
How frequently are the buildings cleaned? So once a week thing? Is it every time? I mean, just, I'm trying to get
Yeah.
an idea of the scope of this, and the reason for the question is there a possibility of doing this with a temporary part-time local employee as opposed to going out to a contracted service situation?
So town hall is cleaned, I would say the high touch spaces, bathroom facilities, that's cleaned more regularly. I would say bathrooms are cleaned like three times a week. All floors are washed and a deep cleaning once a week at each building. But the police department also has high volume use of cleaning services. Obviously, you know, that's fully staffed 24/7, and as well as you know, the bathroom facilities for not just our officers and staff, but also any. The problem with I think we could hire a part-time person with that as the only scope of their work. I think some of it is the previous person that was doing it was wanting to clean the building, and now it kind of turned into low person being, now that that's their job position, and that's not really what they thought they were being hired to do. So I guess we could change, I'm not sure the agenda would, if the council wants to go that way, we could reconsider that to, you know, apply for a part-time person. But in my previous communities I worked in Jamestown, we had a part-time cleaning service, and they cleaned the same scope of town hall facilities we had, plus a full recreation center, and the place sparkled. And it was a couple that came in the evening, and they came in right at 4 o'clock, and they got a schedule of, you know, when meetings were, so they weren't interfering with that. And you know, the building was fully clean, bathrooms, windows, I mean, it was really done well. So, you know, whatever the preference is, we definitely need an added person to take that off of DPW. I'm concerned on hiring a part-time laborer. We have enough trouble filling vacancies for that full-time versus a temporary 6-month thing. So, I mean, I don't know, where we do have probationary periods for 6 months already for personnel. So, you know, could we hire somebody and then when we get full staff, revisit it? Certainly, that could be an option. I don't know that council with the agenda could take that course tonight, but I'm happy to vet out both options. I'm just concerned as we're heading into, you know, it's plowing and we are, you know, we're gonna be advertising for snowplow vendors, so that's gonna take off some of the pressure. But unfortunately, 2 of the individuals have CDLs that are out, so, you know, it's kind of trying to meet the immediate need of public works.
Challenging.
Still by, obviously, there's a need to have clean facilities. I'm not seconding that, but that kind of prompted the request. Yeah.
Jeff, go ahead.
Yep, I had the same idea, either a part-time person or, you know, just asking somebody if they would like to do it after hours, to pay them overtime or something. I mean, it can't be more than 3 or 4 hours work here a week. I used to do that back in the day when I was younger. For a part-time job, and I mean, you can get to it pretty quick when there's nobody around, so.
Well, it's each building.
Yeah, no,
So
I know.
it's
Yep.
Public Works, Town Hall, the senior center upstairs, and the police department. And certainly we can. I don't believe any staff would want to do that. But that's certainly that's something we could put out there.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was just thinking it's because it's the holidays and, you know, more money.
yeah, sure. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, I realize my microphone is turned. I apologize.
Use your microphone, please.
I'm trying to, yes. No, I'm just gonna say that the way we consider to authorize this for Erin, and this is similar, and you'll cover the number 4 Richmond Town Restaurant in a moment, but giving you the latitude to word it in a way so that you can look at all options that may come forward, you know, when you go out to bid. You know, you like you did with across the street with the bid. So kind of maybe it's a contracted service, maybe it's a local person, who knows?
I appreciate, my only concern is how the agenda is written. It's very much so to the public that it would be a contract bid versus allow, you know, the option for DPW staff. You know, that is something we could put out there. I did have, you know, some conversations with Public Works. He did not bring any of that, you know. It's a good
And I
thought.
wasn't suggesting that it be so, I'm talking about finding a cleaning person.
Yeah,
Someone who does this or is interested in doing this. So the laborer that was doing it, how much of his or her week was dedicated to cleaning the buildings?
I would say
Most of it?
8 to 8, like
How
12
much?
hours a week, 12 hours a week.
12 out of 30.
The other
Yeah.
thing is, if we go with a hired person, I would want them to be some sort of bonded and insured.
Mhm.
If we went with contracted professional services, we would have that liability kind of coverage built into their contract. So either way, I'm not concerned of cleaning off hours. I think that's when it should be happening. Some of the buildings are alarmed. And I did have that conversation with the police chief, you know, would they be comfortable, but they're manned all the time, but it would just be, you know, people would definitely need to be conscious of making sure their materials that would need to be locked and stuff, but everything that certainly would need to be secured is under safe and vault. And so I would have no problem providing access to the building for either entity, but if it would be a staff person, I think we'd need that extra. If it wasn't, I guess if it would be a staff temporary hire, I think we could, because that's the
Right, I
thing
think-
too, is that we can't really, this isn't a permanent decision.
Mhm.
We can't make that decision because we're not in a position to eliminate a position in lieu of that for full staffing. So depending on how this materializes, we'll have a better final solution as we get into the budget, whether we utilize funding source of a public worker versus a hired custodian. But-
Yeah, I think that we should solicit bids because like you said, it is temporary. These, individuals are going to be coming back to work eventually and we'll get into a usual flow. And if that time we find that we need to go further service, we can try to budget for it. So I'm leaning towards soliciting bids, knowing that when those bids come in, if they're outrageous, that we don't have to take them. That we can come back and have a second discussion on it. So that's the route I'd prefer to go. And just while I have the floor, before I see if anybody else has discussion, I want to just ask that the senior center's having their Veterans Day luncheon on the 11th, and knowing that that building's not getting cleaned, can we at least try to make sure that that building's clean for the luncheon for them? I don't know how often it's being cleaned or whatever. I want to throw it out there just to ensure that they're having a good celebration.
Well, currently, all buildings are still being done by that personnel that's tasked to do that. And that will
Okay.
stay in place until a change is made, because we can't have town facilities not being cleaned. I have asked during the shortage that personnel empty their own trashes like midweek, so we're not putting so much pressure on them to come while they're short-staffed. But the bathroom facilities, we have meetings here almost every single night, so
Mhm.
those need to be addressed. And certainly the police station has a different need that has probably a higher cleaning volume. And then the senior center, community center, that's, yeah, the community center programming doesn't always align with the schedule, and I will say that, but that's because we have invested what we have into that, so keep that there.
Okay. Any further council discussion? Sure, go ahead, Council Reynolds. Unless-
No.
I thought you were raising your hand.
I'll wait for a motion.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the interim town administrator to go out to bid for contracted cleaning services for Town Hall, Public Works, Police Department, and Senior Center with authorizing her to solicit bids.
Second.
You want to go ahead, Counselor?
So I would just request that when the bid award is brought to the council, that also we be provided with the current cost of paying the laborer 12 hours plus a prorated share of their benefit costs. So we can make a comparison as between the bid number and what we're currently paying.
Awesome, thank you. Any further council discussion? All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madden,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, Erin, on to your next item, please.
So yay, the holidays. So we're heading into the end of October. It is crazy how time has flied. For the last few years, the council has authorized a half-day closure and so we close at noon. That would be paid for the full day. Then we'd have a holiday luncheon at a local establishment on that afternoon. And typically it's been the day before Christmas Eve. And then we have Christmas Eve off as part of the personnel, as well as Christmas Day. This year, Christmas falls on a Thursday, so we'd have the Wednesday, Thursday off. So I'm presenting two options. However, I think what department heads and feedback I did receive from staff would be that we would, in lieu of the half-day closure and holiday luncheon, town offices would remain closed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm also recommending that because I do believe it would be kind of a morale boost for public works staff. They're not authorized to take any time from December to April. And so I believe that they would probably appreciate the family time versus a half day and luncheon. Not that that's not appreciated, but they would be in on the
Mhm.
Friday working. They can't take that time off. Town staff, whoever has vacations, I do assume that many people would be enjoying a long weekend regardless and take that time. So I believe staffing would be limited. I discussed this with all the department heads and everybody is certainly appreciative of any option council wishes. However, preference would be to have no holiday luncheon, so there would be no cost in that, and town offices, public works, And obviously the police department non-staff would remain closed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And everybody would receive their regular pay for that day. Versus a half day Tuesday and a holiday luncheon.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So on the, you're saying on the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if we approve to get all those off on Friday, you said DPW is still working or not working?
Right, so Wednesday and Thursday is up for everybody anyway, that's already in the personnel. So Friday, if town council authorized the closure, they would not be working Friday. Unless there was a storm, they would be ordered in under the same holiday provision. However, they wouldn't be receiving, I don't believe, overtime because there's no contract terms for that. So yes, they would have the Friday off. Just like Wednesday and Thursday.
Go ahead, Dan.
How much business is being done the week of Christmas? Monday, Tuesday?
So that is, I would say, that's gonna be very busy for anybody who's trying to close titles. And so that is the other part that I wanted to get this on earlier, because we do need, people are already asking for our holiday closure. Because anybody who's closing on a house will need to record. However, the Friday will not be non-existent because many law offices will just be closed. Insurance companies, realtors will be closed through Friday anyway. But I would say typically the Monday, the 2 days leading up to the holiday is a last minute push for anybody who's trying to get a closure in before the end of the year.
So following up on that, would you recommend that the town hall stay open Monday, Tuesday?
Yes.
Or, okay, so you would not recommend it being closed?
No, and so I did reach out because I wanted to ensure that if council grants this Friday off, that it's not gonna create a staffing issue on the Monday and Tuesday. That's not what I want either. Certainly Public Works will be operating because they can't take that time during that, so they won't be utilizing vacation time, but I did reach out to all of staff, specifically at town hall to say, I have no requests on the books right now for vacation. If anybody has not yet gotten that to either myself or your department head, that you do so we have that information tonight, because I don't want to create a vacancy on the Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just gonna throw out there that I would support having a post-holiday luncheon on Friday. I think that's a nice thing to do. If you think people would come, if you think people are gonna take the day off and they don't wanna go out and do anything, that's fine, but I mean, I just, if you think it would be well attended and appreciated to do something like that on Friday and possible, again, I'm just one person, but I would certainly support that.
I don't know. The year my office decided to get rid of our luncheon and we got a day off instead in the middle of the summer, it was a very happy moment for many of us. So I'm gonna lead in that route. What is, anybody want to throw a motion on the floor?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to close the town hall offices on 24th, 25th, and 26th, Wednesday through Friday.
Second.
Did I get the dates wrong?
Oh, no, you're right.
No.
Sorry, 24.
All right, so we have our motion and our second. Any further council discussion?
Sure. I was gonna make a motion to give you the whole week off. It's gonna give you 2 more days, but you convinced me not to.
Well,
Stone.
well, actually, let's revisit that.
I would-
That would not go well, but I was not suggesting that town staff would not appreciate a weekday closure, certainly. But I didn't, the Monday and Tuesday are busier than the Friday, so for sure. But I don't know, I do believe like Monday trash pickup for the transfer station, Public Works will definitely need to be there for the haulers. And then we're open on Tuesday, so yeah,
I would not.
I don't know that.
I would not go the whole week, because like you said, title companies are looking to close. It's a very busy week before the holidays and then you're gonna get the same thing when you come in that next Monday, Tuesday. I would not support closing the whole town for a week.
World keeps turning. Whether you're there or not, it will get done the next week.
Tell the realtors that.
Not my problem. Staff is my problem.
Yeah.
And making sure that staff has appropriate time off and is rewarded and recognized for the hard work that they do, especially given how difficult the past year has been.
Okay, certainly think they would.
Sure, go ahead, Councilor
Yeah, no, I
Fontana.
was just gonna echo, I think Councilor Dinsmore said it before, I mean, I think those days would be great, and then we also have vacation policy where people can take vacation to fill out the rest.
Yeah.
So, it's same thing we do at our office. So we have those days off from a corporate perspective, but then a lot of people use their own vacation time, provided there's coverage to fill in the gap, if that's something they want to use those time. So
For sure.
people can take the whole week off if they so choose.
Any further council discussion on our motion? All right, we'll go for a roll call vote. Councilor Dinsmore.
I'm not seconding a week off.
No, we are going for the Wednesday and Friday with Thursday already being holiday. Is that what it?
So we're closed, so we'll be
It's Wednesday,
working
Thursday,
Monday,
Friday.
Tuesday, closing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yes.
In lieu of a holiday luncheon.
Thank you for asking for confirmations. That's a yes. Councilor Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Government shutdown.
No government shutdown here. On to your next update, please.
So next, is some more great news. Progress is happening on 4 Richmond Townhouse. Anybody who was able to come to the event, got to see the schematic, what's proposed layout. Also, we're out to bid, so you can see that online, as well as we have a beautiful display in the front, hall. So that is out to bid right now. So we're really hopeful that we can award that in the coming month. I'll be obviously coming back to council to authorize that. And we can finally get phase 1 off the ground. And I'm hopeful that phase 1 will come in lower, so we can continue to add to that phase is my hope. It is going in front of the planning board next Tuesday evening for advisory development plan review. I believe that step will be, it's just to have the planning board bless the council's already blessed concept of pavilion and septic and some light landscaping. So that's exciting. So that's pretty much all I have on that until we award the bid.
Yeah,
Go
go ahead.
for it. Yeah.
I just want to make a comment, because a lot of people are asking when we were out there standing there for the festival, what's happening. And I want to thank Chair Wilcox, also you and Danielle, and I don't know if Talia is online. She's upstairs. In order to try to move this project along, we have a weekly 30-minute cadence huddle to meet and to discuss. So it's really been helpful.
It's not funny. We do.
It's something we do. We meet and we, try to address any action items that need to move forward, and it's really a great investment the staff has participated with, Chair Wilcox, and it's been great. And I think what we've done is try to, get ahead of some things and really move things along. So I'm so excited to see that come into fruition. So thank you for that.
This week was only 5 minutes, just so you guys know.
I
That's
love-
how smooth it's going. Is now it's just like
I-
anything. Nope. All right, have a good day.
I learned a new term.
Yep, and luckily we were through HUD phase on that, so I have reached out to our delegation as well as the Rhode Island League, and it is ensured those funds are secure and aren't impacted. And it's a good thing we were through HUD, else we would be delayed. So I'm glad that that project is moving forward. The next, if anybody doesn't have any questions.
I think we're good.
Thank you.
Town hall improvement. So a few months ago, I asked for a request for relocation of offices. We've started that. The tax assessor is on the first floor, located next to the tax collections office. Very excited about that. They're starting to, Jay's definitely getting settled. He had a lot of stuff to move, and that process is starting. The finance clerk will begin moving into that office space. Unfortunately, there was too much electrical in that wall to build out a window. So that has just been repainted and put back. And they're very satisfied because there's glass in the front. So it's not like they're in a closed space. So those processes have happened. I have gone, we're out to bid right now for the relocation of the front door, siding, handicapped accessible. I've received several inquiries on that, so I'm hopeful that we'll get several bids on that. Noting that it is contingent on grant funding or some future funding source that we don't currently have. I requested that Kate Schimmel assist me in identifying some funding sources and We are looking into the Sherlock grant. It comes out the next round of grant funded funds for those disability access comes out in January. However, the shutdown, all of these grant funding schedules are going to shift a little bit, is what we're told. So first we'll have the bid and know what it's going to cost to do it, and then we can start identifying some potential grant funding sources through the Sherlock, as well as, you know, Chaplain Foundation, Rhode Island Foundation, those sources. So that is all I think I have for town hall
Awesome.
updates. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll go on to Chief's report.
Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Evening.
Good evening.
Great.
I don't want to be controversial, but if you go with the Christ Mass, put a crush outside, I was offered to play Baby Jesus. She would be fantastic. They would nail the role, pure integrity.
Oh,
So I have page 1, chapter 1, just the 5 things I want to hit on. I mentioned a couple of them at the last meeting, but I wanted to detail these a little bit better. October 2nd, we had the sentencing of the driver that was responsible for the death of Howard Mellish right in front of Town Hall at the Richmond Elementary School. The crash happened July of 2021. Here we are 4 years later, and the family finally had some form of justice. His wife, who survived the crash but was, you know, severely injured, she actually had metal debris protruding from her skull, her abdomen. She required multiple surgeries. She attended the sentencing hearing, and her victim impact statement was so powerful, but not nasty. It was balanced and it was genuine. It was very powerful. And then 2 of her daughters spoke. I just want to point out again, these crashes happen. Fortunately, most crashes, because of the design of cars and airbags, most people walk away without any injury. A crash like this takes a toll on every single first responder. We had fire department, Hope Valley ambulance, and of course we had police department. I just want to recognize Ryan Donahue and Dan Ballou. They were our patrolmen that were there first to work with fire and ambulance. Drew Bishop, our detective, had gone out to the scene right away to begin pulling search warrants for the car, grabbing area video. One of the most crucial pieces of evidence actually came from the school across the street. And it shows acceleration at the apex of that turn, which caused the truck to spin a bit and then accelerate towards the oncoming victim's vehicle, who was doing about 35. The truck was estimated to be over 65, 70 miles an hour at the time of impact. And then our late sergeant, yesterday marks the 1st year anniversary of Mike Lawrence's death. So member of our department, 22 years, very accomplished guy, and one of the funniest people we work with. But he came out to do the accident recon. It's a credit to their work that that sentence was handed down. He has to serve 4 years. He has the remainder for 10 years suspended probation. So upon release, he'll go through, I think it's a 4-year license suspension. And then he'll have to maintain peaceful behavior to avoid serving the remainder of his sentence. The second thing is that same night, there was a fire at Wawalum Campground. It was fully engulfed. It was a 2025 Montana High Ridge model, which is relatively expensive. It's a nice camper. Sergeant Billiterio was the first one on the scene, as usual. When he's working, for some reason, I don't know if the cloud follows him, or he just happens to be in the right place at the right time. But he actually had to break entry at the gate on Gardner Road to get to the site because we didn't have the codes for the new owners. And they were apologetic for that. They actually assisted us with new codes. They replaced the gate, very helpful. When fire arrived on scene, we kept getting 911 calls from neighboring campers that they thought there were shots being fired, explosions. What happened was, it started with, I think they believe it did, with a golf cart being recharged. It's an older golf cart, not a lithium battery. That became engulfed in flames. It caused the camper to become engulfed in flames, and then 20-pound cylinder propane tank started to explode like missiles going through the air. You know, it's still a very packed campground. Before Columbus Day weekend, there were a lot of people there. And Erin knows, she's got a neighboring property up there with her family. So there were a lot of occupied campers in and around this particular camper. It's a credit to Billiterio, our sergeant, Officer Derek Adams, and Officer Donahue that showed up to evacuate the surrounding area. Bill actually grabbed the fire hose to assist fire department because they arrived with apparatus, but they were waiting for some of their firefighters to arrive to actually extinguish the flame. So he grabbed the hose. Derek Adams assisted. It's commonplace to any scene. They just work seamlessly together, fire, police, and rescue in this area. It's really impressive. So great job by them. Minor burn injuries, they were initially concerned that there was somebody in the camper that could be accounted for. There were 2 vehicles right near it. Fortunately, within 5 minutes, we accounted for that.
Awesome.
I want to mention, there was a break to a large barn on Beaver River Road back in September. Detective Bishop put a camera out there. I'm not going to say where. We don't want you to know our techniques. In the event this happens again. But it's an Arlo camera that we purchased about a year and a half ago for investigations like this. So we can't be everywhere all the time. This camera was on this building, anticipating that it was probably juveniles that would come back. There was some property stolen in September. October 3rd in the afternoon, Drew got a hit from the camera. He alerted our patrols. They got there within 5 minutes. Officer Derek Adams was the first one on the scene. He goes to the entrance to the barn and he finds 2 kids coming out. So it was a 17-year-old from Hopkinton and a 14-year-old from Richmond. They also had alcohol on them, so they were charged with breaking and entering as juveniles and possession of alcohol by minor. And Drew followed up with investigation on there was a black powder pistol that had been recovered prior to this second break that he was able to link to the same individual, one of the same individuals. And he recovered a knife that had been stolen. So again, this doesn't happen overnight. It was really good investigative work, great teamwork. So it was Officer Derek Adams, Officer Adam Drukowitz, and Officer Ryan Donahue who assisted Drew Bishop, but it was Drew Bishop's investigation. The 911 or 9/11 softball tournament, how many people actually were to make it? It was Saturday and Sunday. It was beautiful weather. Anytime our guys volunteer to do something athletic, I get a little concerned. It's not because they're not great athletes, a staff, a police department. I'm always worried somebody's going to tweak a hamstring and not be able to work for 2 weeks. They played really well, very competitive.
No injuries?
No injuries. Maybe a little pride here and there, but ball bounces off the glove. These things happen. It was all about Chris Sherman, about our local guy, happens to have Down syndrome. He's a Special Olympics athlete. He's an honorary member of the Carolina Fire Department. He actually does a lot of work there. He's just one of the most uplifting people you can possibly be around, and he's battling cancer. So this was a great show of support. They raised money with a raffle and entry fees for the games. Chris actually had fallen ill the night before the games. He was going to be there, so he ended up FaceTiming at the field. It was really cool, very special. So credit to everybody that participated in that, fire departments, rescue companies, the fire marshal's office who actually placed second, I think, in the tournament. And of course, our guys from Richmond PA did a great job. Lastly, I would like to request installation of a stop sign on James Trail coming off of the South Kingston side. If you've been down there recently, I mean, it used to be a very hazardous road. Bumps and potholes, and it's very windy, a lot of elevation changes. Now that it's been repaved, what happens? Increased speeds. And you have a neighbor who has an adjacent blind driveway to where Gardner Road comes south, right on the town line, where it meets James Trail. And I did a visit with our DPW director, Gary Robar, and looking at it, it's not really ideal for a 3-way stop, but I think will improve safety. You were able to get it. This is fantastic. This is my favorite part of council is pictures. My favorite books have pictures in them.
That's your favorite?
That's not, that's my arrow. You're welcome. So this is traveling west on James Trail, approaching the intersection with Gardner Road. If you've been in that area before, you're taking these corners, nothing is lined. Some people are kind of liberal with the width of their turns. So you're approaching a blind hill crest in this direction, which is in South Kingstown. And then you have a very sharp curve, which really the apex of that curve and that hill crest ends at Gardner Road, where there's a straightaway for James Trail. So people are accelerating now on this newly paved surface. And it doesn't give driver reaction time, I think, enough for Gardner Road folks trying to navigate whether they're going to turn left or right. So if you're trying to do a left-hand turn to go down James Trail, which most people do to get to Oskapog and 138, they don't have sufficient time or distance to really get out in front of these vehicles that are racing up this hill. So I'd like the council to move it to public hearing for consideration of installation of a stop sign. It just so happens we have about 5 to 10 feet from the town line with South Kingston.
That would be my
Get this
question.
thing staked,
Okay.
facing westbound traffic. It will work. I called Chief Moynihan in South Kingstown
Mhm.
this week. Because if it's approved eventually, we're gonna ask South Kingstown to erect an advanced notice sign that there's a stop ahead. And then the other part of that request, which really, it's not part of our ordinances, but it's safety signage for Gardner Road coming south. If you look at Gardner Road, where the berm on the right ends, where you normally have a stop sign, it's all paved. It's all open and paved. There's no delineation of what lane is what. So there's really not a practical place to put a stop sign at the end of Gardner Road without doing a lot of painting. So we'll do signage, if it's approved, to caution people about vehicles entering from a blind driveway, caution slow, intersection ahead for eastbound traffic on James Trail, and then southbound traffic on Gardner Road.
So it's 2 stop signs?
One stop sign and then
All right, you threw me off.
signage, I'm
All right.
sorry. So the signage for
I got
Gardner
you.
Road
The-
south would
Gonna
be
stop it.
caution, intersection ahead,
Mhm.
blind driveway, that kind of thing, just to have people touching their brakes, remind them that the intersection, for people that are probably out of the area. Most of the people that live on that road know exactly what to do.
Makes them more confident sometimes.
Yes, it does. And then for James Trail eastbound, when they're approaching that newly installed stop sign, that there is a blind driveway ahead, caution, please use caution, something to that effect.
Okay.
I'll work out the wording with Director Robar, and then I'll bring it back before council before they go.
Awesome. Council, have any questions? I did have a member of the public who had their hand up, so I know it's not a public hearing, but if you'd like to go to the podium, state your name and let us know your question.
If we should have a roundabout there, roundabout? No, I'm kidding.
No, he didn't say that.
Good to know. Very good.
Yes.
How you doing, Jim Brea, Richmond? Everything the chief said, that's a really bad, ever since they asphalted that South Kingston section up to Peter Potts this summer. I come close to getting taken out about a week ago by a garbage truck. I mean, I'm talking. And the other thing to consider though, if I remember correctly, this summer, I believe that small bridge on Hillsdale is gonna be repaired. I think, isn't that on the schedule, on that S curve? About 3/4 of a mile in from 138,
I don't
that
want
little
to
bridge,
so I'd want to double check on that.
maybe.
I'm getting yeses, I'm hearing no's.
We're identifying some project culvert replacement money, but I'm not certain when.
Pretty sure that came up.
It is, but that again is based on federal funding.
That's
and
with the
grant.
watershed, Chris Fox.
Yeah.
So
And now we're getting a little
It's for-
topic, the original agenda item here.
there's no committed timeframe on that.
Yeah, we'll go back to the stop sign. We'll touch base on that though. We'll figure it out.
Okay, but yeah, it's definitely now, with Gardner Road is asphalted all the way down now, which people have picked up on it. Now they can get to South Kingston, but that's a nasty place to get in and out of. That would be great. By the way, the other one you put in a while back at Hog House Road was a tremendous improvement.
Mhm.
Because now everybody's got to stop. Before, people would just come up Gardner and making a turn. That was really bad, but so that really helped out, so.
So hopefully this one will be as well. Thank you for your feedback.
Thanks for the feedback. Glad it was positive. That's great. That's all I have unless.
Thank you, Jason.
Yes, go ahead. Madam
Madam
That's the name?
I wanted to put a motion on the floor to amend the agenda if council is amenable. And it was a motion to amend the agenda to bring K5 forward only because we have Jillian Finkel here, who is coming all the way down from Providence to do her presentation. So that's I think she packed her dinner. But I wanted to see if there was a possibility to pull that forward on the agenda for the 15 minutes we've allotted for that.
That's a motion.
Yes.
Second.
Any council discussion on that? We'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Before we get to that, did we need a motion on Chief's item to authorize the stop sign for public hearing or anything
We
from
have
us? More to come?
Documentation to come.
So-
You have to, we still need a mutual agreement, except we're not ready to authorize fully for public hearing.
I mean, we don't necessarily need the advanced signage. I just think it would be good to have.
Okay.
So,
It would just be adding that location
Yeah.
to our street
Stop
stop
sign
sign.
ordinance.
So as long as you're okay with adding that without seeing it drafted.
Just one street, so I am, so I'll make the motion to advertise the street stop sign ordinance for public hearing.
Okay.
Any council discussion?
Ask South Kingstown to pitch in. Tell Moynihan we want some money from them because they paved the road.
All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, we're up to J5.
Sorry.
Oh, yes.
Can we also, on that notion of gyms, can we also move up J2 then? Because we also have our engineering here on the PL 566.
Sure. So we go
Sorry.
So move.
motion by Counselor Madnick. I'll second it. We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. So J5, you're up.
Julia, well,
Thank you so much. I do have a presentation. Does
Oh,
it
great.
show on the-
yeah, I think Aaron.
I don't like the twist around, so I stay facing forward because it's hurts my back. Okay, I'm getting too old for this.
Printed it out.
Oh. What's in here?
We huddle. I heard that.
All right.
Clearly, you've never been in an engineering firm.
Go for the American.
Erin, are you the one advancing this stuff? Oh, that's. Okay. I'll start.
Are you able to go in full screen mode? No. No, okay, all right then.
Now without relaunching.
All right.
Okay.
And I'm afraid of internet connection.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Madam President and Council, so much for having me here tonight. I actually feel so lucky to have been a guest at your meeting, your wonderful community to witness it. And I'm here to tell you about a new program in the state of Rhode Island and invite you to consider participating. And by you, I mean yourselves or other members of your committees and commissions or members of residents of town. So, and that program is called Main Street Rhode Island. So if you want to click ahead.
And I know who you are, but I don't think everyone else knows who you are.
So my name is Jillian Finkel. I am the deputy director of a nonprofit called Grow Smart Rhode Island. We've been around 27 years advocating for economic development that is environmentally sustainable and also socially equitable, and believe that if you make smart choices, you can do all of those things. So Main Street and downtown revitalization has always been part of the mission, but this is a new initiative of ours. There's a national organization called Main Street America. They've been running programs in other states since 1980. It was attempted one time 25 years ago in Rhode Island, but it never took off. And I believe that now is the right time to bring it here. And the General Assembly agreed with us after several years of advocacy. We were established in June as Main Street Rhode Island, managed by Grow Smart Rhode Island. And the programs that you might be interested in include informational webinars and programs that are designed to build capacity at the local level for revitalization and small commercial district vitalization. There's a conference, actually, our first ever Rhode Island Main Street Together conference on Saturday, which you're all invited to attend. I actually brought flyers. And then the big news is that in partnership with Main Street America, we'll be bringing them here to Rhode Island to teach a series of workshops in the first half of 2026. We're calling it a learning cohort, because there's really going to be no commitment other than just learning about the program, what it's all about, how it's worked in other places. And that's the big thing I want to tell you about, to invite you to consider applying to be a part of that. So you can advance the slide. And just to be clear, when we say Main Street in this context, I know your street is actually called Main Street, but it's more like a shorthand term for any walkable traditional commercial district. When you think of like a small town commercial center, even a commercial center in a neighborhood in a bigger city, that's what we mean Main Street, with the small businesses and the community gathering spaces. So you can move ahead. The whole Main Street America program is promoting what they call the Main Street approach. It's really designed to be community-led economic development. We do say revitalization, but I don't like that term because to me, it feels like it's something you do and then you're done. And it also, I think, negates what we already have that is already alive and vibrant. And we just want to take what we have and take it to that next step that the community wants to see it go in. So I say it's placed first and comprehensive because a lot of things are like look at the individual component of the improvement. So saying, let's support small businesses, or let's, plant flowers. And so we have a garden club, or we have a business service organization. But this approach is saying, let's start with the place and then bring in all the components of the place. And doing that, there's what they call the 4 points approach, 4 points. Recognizing that you have 4 main components of a place when it's a commercial district that all need to be supported and moved forward simultaneously and intentionally for that place to really make progress. And so those 4 elements are the businesses themselves, the physical and built environment, communications, which may include events, and also the human capacity or how the work gets done, right? The people part. And like I said, it's all aligned with a national organization that's been around since 1980. You can go ahead. And why care about Main Streets? Like, why would a town council or it's the committees of a town want to put attention to their Main Street districts? 2 big components, one being economic development, the other actually being community building, both of which I think are really important right now. So if you move one, go ahead. A lot of components of economic development that I think you might be interested in. Developing your Main Street districts as destinations, as safety. I know we were talking about a car crash, but in terms of pedestrians and bicyclists and people walking around to be customers of businesses, the safer that the place is, the more likely they are to stay, and then the more likely they are to spend money in the businesses. And if those businesses are supported, we're keeping them local, we're building more jobs, we are offering opportunities for new business, we're creating places that are desirable, and also concentrating activity in housing your transit and amenities, which is an environmental reason. So actually thinking about the money saved by the efficiency of the land use, right? So you can go ahead. And I want to point this out. It's mapping municipal revenue per acre on a vertical scale. So this is the map of Lafayette, Louisiana, and you can see the higher revenue per acre, the taller and darker the bar. And so their downtown is the area with all of the high bars. That's where you get the biggest revenue per acre. And the bands of slightly higher bars, the red and orange coming out from the downtown, are all the main streets. And so as far as when you have limited resources, where might you consider making your investments for a good return on investment? Your downtown and your main streets have a big bang for your buck. And if you go to the next slide, it's true in small towns as well. This is White Bear Lake, Minnesota. They're much, much smaller central Main Street district. There is also the highest revenue per acre. So so just an economic argument, but if you go ahead, the next slide, there's also lots of community reasons to make investments in Main Street districts. These are places where we celebrate, they create place identity, which builds civic pride and what we call place attachment, which is really good for individual as well as collective well-being, and builds what we call those second ring of social connections, which are not your closest friends and not your most peripheral relationships, but the ones in the middle, like the neighbors, which are supported by having places in real life to interact like Main Street. So you can move ahead. It's also, as far as smart growth is concerned, there's a lot of overlap between the smart growth principles and the work in Main Street. So you can go ahead. This next slide just shows you the 4 points, how they're kind of laid out. And if you go to the next slide, I have listed some of the different activities that would fall under each of these 4 points. And I think you all have access to these slides, and so you can look at it more closely. But as far as supporting small businesses, being perhaps a liaison to one of the many support organizations that already exist in Rhode Island, with design, things like sidewalks, things like benches, public art, signage and wayfinding, promotion, things like telling the history of the place, perhaps having branding, and also events, and then the organization being how people come together to get work done, partnerships, leadership development, and this concept of place management, where we are being intentional about supporting a place. So you can move on. The next element of the Main Street approach is this idea of a transformation strategy. So really identifying, like looking at the data about a place. What are your assets? What is the market? What is the unique story? And culture of the place that we can harness to then make the place successful, and making that defining it so that everyone working on those 4 points are all working off the same plan, right? You can go ahead. And this approach has been really proven to work. So like I said, it's been used in 41 other states since 1980. They've been tracking these metrics all this time. And just in the districts that are officially engaged with the national program, they've tracked all of this reinvestment, all of these new businesses, new jobs, rehabilitated buildings, most of them historic in nature, volunteer hours, and they track an average return on investment of $24 for $1. So you can move on. And to clarify that the orange is where Grow Smart Rhode Island would come in. We'd be a state level, what we call a coordinating program. And the idea is to provide the support to all the work that happens at the local level. So the idea is not for us or for the national group to come in and do anything in the town. It's really to provide support, technical assistance to the local efforts. And it's really, like I said, community led. In fact, some of the folks at Main Street America call it a self-help group. So you can go ahead, next slide. And there is this, I know you already have lots of things in place here. There is, in the way that the national organization has worked in thousands of communities, they've really landed on this idea of having an organization, like a separate 501c3 organization that would kind of lead this effort in a particular place. I will say that's not the only way, but if you were to come to the conference on Saturday or to any of our future events, you probably would hear about this idea of having a local Main Street organization. It's one way, it's not the only way, and it could be like a someday thing. But that is kind of the framework that they use. And it may be that the Rich Task Force is that here, right? Since you already have it. But I just wanted to clarify that up front, because there does tend to be a lot of confusion. You can move ahead, and I'll tell you that we have heard, seen rumblings about us doing some things already. This is us at the national conference when it was in Boston a couple years ago. But some other folks from the state, we got Woonsocket, we got, I think that was North Kingstown that was with us. So we're starting to make a few inroads, but you can move ahead to the next slide. If you're interested to see what another state's doing, I'd send you over to the Connecticut Main Street Center. They've been around since 1995, and we really look at them as a model of how to make this work in a New England context. They're very, very good about serving everyone. They have like the city of Waterbury, which is a New York suburb, and they have a budget of $250,000, and that is definitely not what we have here in Rhode Island. But they also serve these really tiny towns up in the northwest corner of their state, and I think they do a really good job of serving everyone. Of course, they have a staff of 8, so that's kind of what we aspire to be someday. But it gives you a good sense of what's possible. You can go ahead, but what we are offering. Like I said, we have a monthly virtual roundtable webinar. Jim has joined us on a couple of them. Each one's on a specific topic. So depending on what your interests are or what you're working on, but we record them all and we post resources on the website. So you can hopefully find things that are of interest to you and what you're working on, and we'll continue to build that out. We've been doing some networking events that are statewide. We have a monthly Main Street newsletter. We shared the fall festival on the last edition. If you happen to see it, we've just started a Main Street podcast, and we've got this conference and then the learning cohort, which I'll explain. If you go ahead, that's just the advertisement for the conference on Saturday. And the next one is about the cohort. So the idea is for communities in Rhode Island who are interested in learning more to put together a team. I'm sorry, it's 15 minutes.
Oh, you were timing yourself.
But to put together a team to attend these monthly workshops with Main Street America. It's a bit of a commitment in that each workshop will be a full day, either on a Friday or a Saturday. And that's why we're asking that at least 3 people be part of the team from the community, so that there's always one of the 3 that can attend on each day. And then there will be optional homework assignments, but tools that will be given to you that you can use or not, or use later. And yet the application will launch on Saturday. And I will also be leading on November 13th from 12 to 1, a webinar to answer more questions about it. So, so I invite you all to explore and consider putting together a team to participate in our cohort.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, well, Jillian, first of all, thank you for the presentation. I mean, I saw 23 slides. I was like, wow, she's going, she's moving. So very comprehensive. I have that for reference. I hope we have our EDC chair in the audience too, Gary
And a
Parker.
member.
And we have a member, he's hiding right there. I saw the member pop out. Yep, so we have 2 EDC folks here. Hope you get a chance to chat with them, if not already. I think it's very interesting. I also, you mentioned the Rich Task Force. We're doing a lot. We have a meeting actually tomorrow that Jeff and I will be attending, where one of our members is presenting, Andrew Pizzelli, our Richmond identity strategy. So it's tying into all of that. I think it'd be very interesting. So in order for us to put together a cohort, that's something we need to discuss, and we have time to do it. Obviously, we're not prepared to make that decision now, but I would say that it would be great to liaise with Gary, get his thoughts on how we could form that cohort, and if there's anyone else that might be interested in being the cohort. But I want to thank you so much for coming all the way down here, take part in our meeting, and to share that with us. It's really exciting.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you also for letting me pull that forward. And I apologize to the engineering firm. I didn't realize they were
Oh,
here.
we got another one to pull forward.
Thank you.
All right.
And Jillian, are you staying or leaving? You can leave. No, you can leave. You can leave.
No pressure, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still here. I'm ready for you to start. Just gonna shake her hand.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the council, Chief Johnson. My name is Matt Belisle, and I'm with PAR Corporation. We are a local engineering firm that were engaged by the Natural Resource Conservation Service several years ago. And we have been studying the Wood Pawcatuck watersheds. And it's probably no surprise why we're studying them. They overrun their banks. 2010 was an example of what can happen when those waters come up and exceed their banks. So what we are doing as part of this study is we modeled the entire watershed from Sterling, Connecticut, all the way down to Westerly, Rhode Island. Includes 15 cities and towns. And once the slides comes up, we'll be able to walk through some of this. But we've been looking at alternatives. What can communities do to protect private residences, public infrastructure from the floodwaters? Now, a couple of things about this study. If you can just advance a slide. So a couple of things about this study is it's a riverine model. We are looking at waters that start in the river and work their way up. That doesn't mean we didn't account for the rainfall, but we're not looking at the individual stormwater systems such as you might have up on Route 3 or you might have in certain neighborhoods. We are using the land cover and the runoff characteristics of pavement, houses, and undeveloped land, and making that water flow down to the rivers where it collects, and it will bring up the river elevation. So we're accounting for all of that, but we haven't looked at individual systems. And I know that's a question that we get sometimes, so I wanted to put that out there. But by all means, this is a very comprehensive study. Again, looked at the entire watershed from Sterling all the way down to Westerly. We've looked at alternatives, and now we're in the process of evaluating the benefits of the alternatives that we've prepared, and the cost and those impacts. And those impacts include economic impacts, they include environmental impacts, social impacts, and cultural impacts. So we really want to have the full picture as to what's going to happen when we put in these solutions. And we get public input. We've held a couple of public meetings to present the project at the beginning. We spoke to the different stakeholders at 2 different times for each of the communities. They were invited to public meetings, and now we're doing outreach such as the letter that we sent you and this meeting here today. Can I have the next slide, please? I've gone over this, so let's move on to the next slide. So we're looking at multiple types of solution. There's a no action solution, which is everything stays the same as it is today. The next rainstorm event, you're doing the same level of cleanup. That's your baseline. You figure out what the economic cost was based upon our previous data. The next solution type we're looking at is a non-structural solution. And this includes flood proofing of individual structures, elevating structures, getting them up out of the flood water, relocation, and in a couple instances, looking at retreat. That would be abandoning that property and moving it to another location through a buyout process. And while all of these are very viable solutions, and they're definitely worth considering, there are a couple things that they don't address. The roadways within some of the affected communities will still be inundated, which will impact emergency vehicle access during a storm event. Wells, septic systems, and outbuildings typically are outside of the floodproofing procedures. We'll close any of the penetrations into the house, but the well itself may get inundated with flood water from the surface coming down. This would also include some potential zoning restrictions once the area has been identified, so you don't have new homes being built into the area at a lower elevation. It would require them to be elevated for future protection. So that's the non-structural solution. It's a great option if that's the way you want to go, and for a limited number of structures, it makes sense. Next slide, please. The next one was, they're called structural solutions. And we looked at several different alignments for earthen levees and flood walls. And primarily the area of concern is the area down in the KG Ranch area at the bend in the river, an area that was heavily impacted. So we looked at, can we create a levee which is simple, doesn't require any regular operation? And it's a pretty long alignment, as you can see by the yellow line. And if we go to the next slide, I've made it a little bit clearer. It's now the pink line, and you can see the bright arrows. So we have the long alignment along the river itself, and we have 2 smaller auxiliary levees that would protect some isolated areas. This levee varies in height from 8 to 13 feet, but it provides a comprehensive protection for the residential structures, the outbuildings, the wells, septic systems, as well as the roadway network within the area. This does require that there will be some auxiliary pumps put in place because we basically built the wall on a bathtub and the rainwater is going to run down and we have to pump what stays on the land side back into the riverside. So there'll be a couple of locations for those pumps that would be part of the final solution here. We looked at a different alternative as well, because that's a relatively large levee system that the town would be required to maintain. And we asked ourselves if we could shorten that levee system. And we did, and we came up with 4 levees that could be put in place. And if we go to the next slide, again, in the purple, you can see that there are one over here in the bottom right-hand side of the screen, one to the left-hand side of the screen, and then one up near the top. The biggest difference with this approach is that this requires 4 roadway closures to go in place. And what that means is that before the storm gets to any type of flood level, you need to, or your DPW needs to install a barricade. We have talked about it right now as if it is a board system that is portable, but there are also some automated systems that can go in place that would be evaluated during final design. But it does close off the roadway, so limits access again for evacuations or for emergency vehicles coming into play. It is typical. We've seen it in many other communities when they don't have an option to utilize these road closure opportunities. There is some more maintenance associated with having that road closure in place to make sure that when you put the boards in place or when the gate activates, that it seals properly to keep the water out. And these options also require those dewatering pumps to be run as well. And they would be, self-contained systems that would have backup generators so that they would work during those power outages that typically follow a rain event of the nature that we're talking about. One of the things with the road closures that we want to make sure people understand is that while we're protecting for the 100-year storm event, flood water starts to come up before it reaches that 100-year, before it's a 100-year storm event.
Mm-hmm.
So the road closures need to go in earlier than that. They need to go in at maybe a 4 or 5 inch rainfall event, so that in the event that the system stalls, you've got them in place, because it will take some time to get them in place. So there's a little bit more disruption to the normal flow of traffic when we go with these road closures, as we've been able to identify them for this project. Next slide, please. The last piece that we looked at were roadways. And there are a number of roadways within the KG Ranch system and outside of the KG Ranch area where the elevation of the roadway isn't sufficient, or the hydraulic opening, the culvert, the bridge span isn't sufficient to pass the flow of the river. So we provided a list, and that'll be in my next slide, but I want to stick on this one for a minute here first. To talk about those roadways, because I think there's a lot of value for the community to take on those roadway improvements. The limitation is under the PL 566 federal program, roadway replacement isn't fully reimbursable. They are only partially reimbursable. They will do the abutments and the pier, but they won't do the superstructure, the bridge deck, the pavement, or any utilities that it may support. That would fall to the town. And even for them to do the abutments and the pier, the widening has to be due to a widening of the stream channel, which is why you would be doing it anyway. So most of them would be eligible for that level. But on the flip side, because you're not fully funded on the federal side, you are still eligible for some of the state culvert grants. And I heard you mention those previously. So you can stack the grants to cover the piece that the federal government may not provide for you. And by doing these roadway improvements, you'll improve your emergency access, you'll improve the river flow and improve habitat and the resources, as well as fish passage, which is the secondary goal of this project that we're working on. If I can go to the next slide, please. This is a list of the roadway, and it was included in the summary that we sent to you earlier. Most of them are road raises, but many of them do have culvert replacements as well. One of them you were mentioning, I think, may have been on here, so there may be some that are already in process that would then potentially fall under this program. Next slide, please. So why I'm here tonight is because we're asking the town to make a preliminary decision. When we submit our report, we've done our engineering analyses, but the federal government doesn't want you to think that we just came in here and said, hey, you're going to do this. We want to hear from you. So we have to identify what's called the sponsor's preferred alternative. So we're asking you at this time to say, which of those 4 options would you most likely be interested in and want to see advanced to design if this project is authorized to move forward? This decision tonight does not commit any funds to the project. I want to make that clear so you understand that if you decide this tonight, you're not committing it. If whenever the project goes to design and you enter into a separate contract with NRCS, you can even change your mind. You can even say, hey, we've looked at it, we've had another storm event, we really want to reevaluate it. We think we want to go with a different direction than what you would put forth initially. These are all conceptual designs. We've advanced them enough to make sure that they're viable, but there are a lot of nuances that would go into that final design process. Whatever is installed, the community is responsible for its upkeep and its maintenance. So if you build the levees, you need to mow them because you don't want them to be overgrown with trees and brush because they will start to impact the performance of the levee. If you put in the road closures, then you would need to maintain the closure devices. The flood improvements to the homes, that falls on the homeowner. So there's less future cost to the town for that. Unfortunately, a decision is necessary for me to finish my report. Government shutdown has given us a slight extension, but I do need to ask you if you can make a decision within a relatively short period of time, so I can include that in the report that then will be published for public consumption sometime in the spring. Once our report is put together, or once I get this selection from you, we will finalize the report. It gets reviewed by the federal government, gets presented back to the public in the spring. And then if it's accepted by the government, they can then look to fund the study into the design phase and then into the construction phase to help our communities weather these storms a little bit better. So that's the general process.
Awesome. Thank you so much for going over all that with us.
Yes, I'm open to questions if you have any.
Yeah, sure. We got Dan has a question. I think then
Yeah.
Councilor Palmigano does.
When do you need a decision from the town?
I don't know when the reviewing agency will be back available again.
Let's assume for time purposes as
Yep.
soon as tomorrow.
So my report is supposed to be submitted the first week in November. So if everything stays on schedule, I would ideally within a week's time frame.
Okay, and the reason I ask, and this is gonna be probably the only point I make until after other people speak, is I have a real hard time making a decision for residents that aren't able to speak about these options. And based on what I've reviewed, it seems like residents have been given the opportunity to be engaged. And it seems that some have and some haven't. So I just have some concerns about that, and I'm gonna leave it up to the rest of the council to ask their questions now.
Go ahead, Councilor Palmigano.
Yeah, just had two questions. Just from in the looking at the idea of the berm structure to prevent the water from coming from flood event from the riverside, and I understand there'll be pumps. But I'm familiar with that area too. There's a lot of groundwater issues, and there's also runoff from 95 coming down into what would then become a protected lake. How do you approach that? I mean, you are protecting against the flood from the river, but there's also other sources of water that are inundating that area.
Yeah, we identified 4 areas where we would be putting some pump stations that would handle the surface runoff as it comes down. But those would be some of the final design nuances that we would need to be looking at. Groundwater, it's something we'd have to look at. You may have to go with a depressed pump station to maintain some groundwater, as it would be influenced by the river itself. So those are some limitations, and the number of pump stations may actually increase as we go into that final design and look at that area in more detail.
And the town would be responsible to manage and maintain all of those pumps as well.
That's correct.
Because I know there's a small stream that runs right through the middle that always seems to be a giant pond. It comes down one of the hills and it's well on the inside of that berm, so.
Yeah, again, we're really concentrating on the riverine flooding, but we also don't want to induce any additional flooding by putting the berm in the way. So we'd be looking at that runoff system coming into it, and there may be some other improvements that would go along with this as it would be advanced to final design.
Sure, and the other part of the question I had was, just looking at, looking at the positioning of those berms, I would agree with Councilor Madnick. I think they're, to say that we're having a meeting, we're gonna talk, people, may or may not be aware of that, but like, that's a significant, you're talking about eminent domain and taking back people's property. Some people, although they are frustrated with the flooding, they enjoy the view of the river, and you're putting a 13-foot berm in between them and the river. So that's something that the public needs to voice their perspective on as well. I mean, you can imagine how challenging it is. It's not for us to speak on that for them without hearing their voices. So
I fully understand. Unfortunately, there's only so many opportunities we have to get in front of the public. So, we want to bring it to the council so that you can, work to get in front of the public as well. We have presented several times, but one of the things for the PL 566 program for communities that enter into it as a sponsor, they have to be willing to utilize that eminent domain if it was necessary to put it in there. However, the federal government isn't coming in and saying, you shall put in this levee system. If that's something that's not going to work in that community, that's why we looked at the non-structural solution and saying, okay, maybe floodproofing is the way to go for this community because of those significant impacts. There's so much private property that's going to be impacted, or the other aesthetics and uses of the facility, the area would be impacted in an adverse way.
yeah, and just the final point I'll make is that first levee diagram you showed, it's contingent upon all of the properties participating. You can't have a levee here and not here, so it's all or none.
Correct. In this location, you do have to get full buy-in on that alignment for it to be effective.
All right.
You can do the roadway work
Yeah,
and still have benefits without the full alignment.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Dovetails nicely into my question. Those residents that could be bought out, have they been reached out into individually?
They have not. Again, this is in a preliminary stage, and
So
we
when-
didn't want to create more issues for you.
And the next question I have, when you had the public sessions, what outreach was done to reach residents? Like what public notice was put out there?
There was public notices sent through the town agencies here, through websites that were available with Pawtucket Watershed. Southern Rhode Island Conservation District went out and did a push to try to get attendance at the meetings. When we held the initial project meeting, we held one during the daytime, one in the evening over at Charahoe. And then the last one that we held earlier this summer was targeted to be done before the heavy vacation schedule for the summertime, in an effort to try to get people when they're available.
Yeah, that makes sense. It just, when it comes to public outreach, it's important to meet people where they are. And it sounds like there are a lot of online options given. I know this neighborhood very well, just from my own experiences as a candidate canvassing it every year, every door. And I just don't think it's that expensive of a neighborhood to target directly with a mailer, door-to-door canvassing. It's really not. So when it comes to public input and getting public feedback in the session, especially when it's so targeted, it's not like you're looking for all of Richmond, you're looking for one neighborhood here. So I would just suggest going forward is to take that extra step of doing a mailer just to that neighborhood, or leaving something at their door, just to get them to come out. Because it's a lot of varying generations in that neighborhood as well. And not everybody is on Wood Pawcatuck's website looking for this kind of thing, although they are very passionate about it. So I think that their input needs to be sought way further before we go forward, because we want a solution for it. And my concern with the proposals too, when I'm looking at the actual proposals away from outreach, is that the town would have to take on maintenance of it. That's a major undertaking, and I would want to know how much that would cost us as a community annually. So
Again,
If we
just
can-
from
I
where
know.
we are, this is concept level. And, there is need to have that public involvement, but they need to understand that it's at concept.
Yeah.
And this selection does impact the entire town of Richmond. While it's one community we're talking about on the ground, it is a townwide decision that would be looking to be made from a pseudo commitment. This is the direction the town would like to take. Trying to answer your question and fully understand getting people involved. If I lived in that neighborhood, I would have been paying attention. Again, we took the measures that we thought that we could to reach these folks with, physical postings, online postings. We did not send direct mailers around to the neighborhood, but we did have some word of mouth canvassing as well through through the Woodblock Duct and through Southern Rhode Island to try to get as much attendance as possible at these meetings.
Good. I had, my final question was, during your presentation, it was surrounded around funding when you had said this. So I'm just looking for a little clarity. You had mentioned that we have this report and we're not committed to funding and we can switch avenues. When you said that, it made me wonder if we pick one plan tonight, are there options to switch avenues for our plans based on funding, or was that just switch our avenues based on what like grant funding we apply for?
So you're going to select a preferred alternative or alternatives in the matrix there. You can pick the roadways and add or subtract those. Then that goes into the report and that gets what's really studied against the cost benefit analysis. This is your approach. Now, when it comes to final design, gets to the next stage of the project, which isn't a guarantee, the NRCS would approach the town and you would enter into a contract at that point, and you would have the ability to say, I really liked this approach, or looking at it, we're really concerned about the maintenance, where we think we're going to go back to this approach. So you can have some adjustment at that time. Hopefully, the adjustment is not so significant that it puts it back into a study phase, but there is some discussion that you can have at that time. But again, we've had some communities say, we're not in the eminent domain world. Just take that one off the table. We're not interested in it. Others said floodproofing. We know the abutters aren't into that as well. So they take that one off the table. So there've been all these different reasonings for the decisions that are made. And unfortunately, the decisions that can only be made at the community.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm not interested in eminent domain, but I'll open up to other council questions.
Yes, and in your expertise, looking at what we have here along Wood River, the KG Ranch area, what do you think would work best in this situation? Trying to help with your expertise, help us understand when you've looked at this, what method you think would be the most beneficial, ignoring all the other issues we're going to discuss in momentarily. Just want to know from an engineering perspective, what's the best option here?
They all work. And I know it sounds like a non-answer, but we wouldn't be presenting them if they didn't work.
That's fine for me. I'm a structural engineer. That's a fine answer.
Okay.
Okay.
So just a couple of questions, a little bit on the funding piece. If the town goes the route of taking properties, who pays the compensation? Is that the town's responsibility, or is that something that's funded by the grant or whatever?
It's funded under the PL 566. Floodproofing of the individual homes, that's paid 100% by the PL 566 program, the federal program. The structural piece of it, if we build the levees, that is a split cost, about 80-20 at this time. 80% federal, 20% on the town's side, as you could see in the tables that we presented in the original reports.
And the cost of building the levees includes whatever cost is incurred to take the property that's needed for it.
Correct.
How, on the limited levy plan, how many properties would be affected with that plan?
Not sure that I have that information, but let me just take a quick look. I do not have the number of properties, but I can get that for you.
Maybe in the paperwork from September. Let me see if I can get it.
Do you have a ballpark? I mean, I'm not looking for you.
So you would look, so I don't know the number off the top of my head, so, sorry. Holly Gillette, town planner. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but if you were to look at the link for the previous meeting where this was discussed, that is included in that.
Mhm.
It has the specific numbers for each of the different proposals. It is.
The meeting I didn't come to.
It's earlier.
Oh, okay.
It's a water discussion.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that. That was the midnight.
33 parcels identified as benefiting from floodproofing measures, 1 parcel identified for buyout and relocation.
I can provide that easily to you tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
To the office.
Related to that, well, not related, but
Excuse me?
with that same option, would there need to be pumping stations with a limited levy option as well?
Yes,
Fewer?
fewer, but they would be required to have pumping stations.
And one of the 4 options that we have available to us is saying this Wood River thing is biting off more than we want to chew, and we'll go with the road option. That's one of the 4 options that we can say, that's that's our preferred option.
Yes,
Yes.
The road option can be done independently of the other levy options.
We just have to find the alternate funding, part of which you've already alluded to. Right.
and it looks like there would be 7 parcels on Wood River that would be impacted by the reduced levy alignment, the shorter ones.
Sorry, when you say impacted by, can you just clarify what level of impact that would be?
The levy would be founded on the property. There'd be construction.
It would be subject to the easement.
Yeah, but let me tabulate it and get you a full breakdown.
So, and well, what Talia said just raised a question on, is it an easement or is it a taking?
That-
Well, what is the level of taking that's done? Are you taking an easement or are you taking fee title to the property?
A lot of it will depend upon the negotiation you have with the homeowner. You will be constructing a structure on the private property that you, town, needs to have access to maintain.
Any other questions? Sure, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I just wanted to say that I support all the, everybody's concerns, and that the lack of the, like, public participation is really a sticking point for me. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't feel comfortable making a decision if I don't hear from the people that are there. It doesn't affect me, it affects them, you know what I mean? So not to hear just where they stand on it, it's really tough to move forward.
Yeah. Any other council concerns? I mean, what's great is we don't have to make a decision tonight. I mean, unless the government reopens tomorrow.
I think we should consider this at the next council meeting is November 4th.
Mhm.
I'm gonna guess if we made a decision at our next council meeting on the 4th, would that be an appropriate time, given what's happening with the federal government now, or is that too late?
I think you want to hear something important from Mr. Belisle.
Sure, we're gonna have this question maybe answered first, and then we'll go to that
I
next
can answer
report.
that- I can answer that question. Again, my report is due that first week. In order for me to include your recommendations, I need to have that information ahead of time. So, you know, if, again, I have no one to submit a report to, we've got some extra time. If I've got a government, I've got a schedule that I need to work to meet from a contract standpoint. One point is many of the communities that we've worked into and the NRCS recommendation when it gets down to the getting the public involved is that it really should fall to the community, particularly if you want individual mailers, to try to reach out to those impacted areas and get them engaged. We did a project up in Honeoye, New York, and again, the town hall spent quite some time going through and contacting everyone within the study area to make sure that they were aware of the project.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Counselor.
On the webinars you did or the meetings you held, how many people did you actually have that attended from that area?
The one that we held at the senior center earlier this year, we probably had 3 or 4 from that neighborhood who were in attendance.
It's not critical mass.
So not critical mass. The event that we held at the Charahoe High School in the evening, I'm not sure that I saw anyone or they didn't identify themselves as being from that neighborhood. That one was dominated by a group from Westerly. And then we had a meeting at the Wood Pawcatuck Watershed Association headquarters. I think we may have had 1, maybe 2 people who identified themselves from that neighborhood. Not having the list, I'm not sure if they were the same people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another question. I mean, is there any drawback from the council saying, well, give us more details for every concept and then we can decide later? It seems to me that there can be more concrete decisions made after you formulate a report. I mean, as you said, we're not deciding anything tonight. It's okay, put in the report, the town's interested in all of the different options and give them more details. And then as we go further forward in the process, we can make more detailed decisions. Is that accurate or not?
The way the NEPA policy reads is that there's supposed to be a discrete option that you prefer. I can try, but it may kick it back, may get it delayed. Again, we're following the NEPA policy and procedures to keep this within the PL 566 framework to keep it eligible for funding.
Any other questions from council?
No.
All right. Erin, what would you like to add?
So I think it's important also, I know you touched on it a little bit, but the staffing and public safety concern on those road closures should be addressed. As we know, how that works, what the commitment would be in preliminary discussions with Public Works Director Robar. He did have some initial concerns on how that would work. And especially, I think it's a 50-year storm.
Yeah, they need to start being closed early.
Yeah. So what that would do to a neighbor and how we would have that outreach to certain neighborhoods, those I'm concerned with getting that information out as we are getting out critical information on other subjects. That is, to me, a very concerning item, because I don't think that may be one of the best uses, especially or one of the better ways to look at because of the potential impact for safety and staffing and getting notification of that area. The second, it kind of goes along with the scope of the neighbors of what these would be taking, easements. I mean, just showing a scale of some of these berms relative to what would be constructed on their property. I did attend the meeting at the senior center, and those, it turned into conversations of, well, where would my beach access will be? Will we have another public access? Is the town willing to say this is only for our neighborhood now because theirs have been blocked? I think a lot of those, again, human element isn't really addressed in this report, and not that was probably part of the scope. I understand that, but those are really council, some sort of direction of which option. I think narrowing down the scope, knowing that we have several concerns, I think, that have been shared by council as well as staff.
We did identify a location for a new boat ramp, recognizing that access to the river is concerned. Again, whether it be public or restricted access, that would fall to the town to negotiate. But we were aware of people saying, hey, I launched my kayaks, so my boats in this area, and knowing that would be a concern. view shed and direct access, yeah, that's something that a levee system would definitely impact.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you don't want your property to flood, you need to put something in front of it. If you want to be able to kayak or out of your backyard, you've got to accept the fact that your basement's going to get flooded. So it's, I get it. People don't want something built on their property. They don't want to lose access to the river. It's a beautiful scenic area. I get it. And that's fine. But when the properties flood, that's the trade-off. And, that we have to obviously weigh in on that, but that's, that is what it is. You can't have a waterfront access and expect that your property is not gonna flood.
So I'd like to take a stab at this just for the council to discuss. Well, let's do the easy stuff first. I think everyone may be in agreement with this. Based on what's presented here, I think the non-structural solutions are something that we can look into because that can be up to the individual property owners. I think that's a simple one that we can present and say, all right, here are the options. Here's what we can do. I also think that we should consider the roadway improvements. That's something that, this council has been fairly involved in this year with the budget, trying to improve our infrastructure. It seems like if we take those two things and we can discuss those now, that those are easy things that we may be able to agree on to go forward with. And then we can have a little bit of a longer debate on some of the structural modifications. And if we want to go with one of those options, what you guys think of that. But just listening to this conversation, those seem like maybe the path we want to go in this discussion.
Was that in the form of a motion for that to be our priority
For discussion.
or not? Okay, never.
Well,
I'll just see.
I don't want to put it in motion yet.
All right,
because
then
I
that's fine.
Like to have.
So
that.
what would everybody like to say? Yeah.
I think that that would be a step in the right direction. If we're gonna look at the non-structural and the road improvements, that keeps us in the game. We can always change later, so it at least gets us engaged. We meet the requirements, so you can put that in your report. And if we have engagement with the community, we have community sessions, and they say, yes, we want you to build those berms, then we can come back to you and say, we're gonna change the plan, correct?
I believe so, yes.
So that's at least keeping us engaged, so that'll at least work, I think. Yeah, we have a lot of questions, obviously. I think all the council members have made good points, but I would be in favor of that suggestion from Councilor Maddock.
Sure, go ahead.
I just have a question on the floodproofing funding. So does the town contribute to that, or is that just between the homeowner and the feds as far as who pays for how much?
It's all paid by the federal program at this time. But the town would be engaged to coordinate the access and work as a liaison.
But as far as
Funding wise,
goes,
yeah, the bulk, the cost of it is borne by the federal government.
We have another discussion coming up that might be beneficial to this. Another agenda item. I can make a motion if you want to.
Sure, go ahead, Erin.
Just to follow up to Mark. So is that the commitment? Is the town at all having to hold the funds or create some sort of easement or financial loan holding for that to happen? Or is it private party? Because I don't want like CDBG funding, for instance, where the town didn't have anything to do with it besides be the conduit between the two people, but we put a lien on the property and put a restriction in. And when that program no longer existed, it became a burden for those residents who couldn't get that lien off. So is that how the funding sources go?
Unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
And I'd say I'd reach out and get an answer, but it might take a while to get one.
we're closed for the month.
Well, we're here. And did you make that motion or would you like to?
No, I'll make a motion for the town council to request that PAIR move forward with two of the alternatives that have been presented to us. The first one being the non-structural solutions, and the second one, the roadway improvement program.
Second.
All right. Any further council discussion on the motion?
Can we do two?
Yes.
We'll go for our vote. Councilor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes.
Great. Thank
Anything
you.
else on this item? We're
Not
good?
For me.
All right. Thank you so much for answering all our questions and being patient with them.
Oh, perfectly all right. Thank you for being interested and asking the questions, and thank you for the decision.
All right, so that handled the items we move forward, and we're back to unfinished business. I believe. Let me just go back to my notes here. Yeah. Awesome, so. Yeah, we're gonna look in for a motion for a 5-minute break.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
You too, right?
reconvene.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
and myself, yes. All right, so we're on to unfinished business. This was a request from myself, continuing from the last meeting for discussion and consideration of forming a climate resiliency commission. We talked about it briefly last meeting, threw some ideas out, and now this meeting, we have a draft ordinance from Counselor Madnick. So thank you for putting that together. Before we go to like a motion or anything, you have anything you want to add on it?
Yeah, sure. So when I saw this on the agenda last meeting, I couldn't be here because I was pretty ill, but I did watch the meeting. I thought that, you know, it'd be helpful, given like staff time and everything, that I try to draft something for the council to consider. And Sam and I, one of our goals for this term is to work on the hazard mitigation plan. And so when I saw on the agenda, I was like, oh, this is great. And I looked at Charleston's website and their ordinance, looked at our hazard mitigation plan, looked at the state website and their information, and then the federal information that kind of, I don't want to say forced, but implemented the hazard mitigation plan that we have. Said, all right, if we take something similar to what Charlestown has and mold it for Richmond, can it be useful? And the first thing I want to touch on is, okay, it's called a Climate Resiliency Commission. I know there's, you know, climate change, global warming. It's a really, you know, it's a politically charged term. We can call it whatever we want if we decide we want to move forward. But the fact is, there are weather-related events that the town needs to consider and be proactive about, no matter if you believe in climate change or not. And that is our charge as town council members. And so I felt that through the conversations we've had as a council and with our EMA director going through the hazard mitigation plan, that the council and staff is not equipped to actually handle these types of situations. And I think the presentation that we got earlier tonight from Pear was a good example of this. Who is going to administer a program like PL 566? Is it going to be the council? Is it going to be a staff member? Is it our town planner? Is it EMA director? Well, what if we had a volunteer commission that has experts on it that can help administer these types of programs? One of the things that was put into place when we developed the hazard mitigation plan based on federal and state mandates was a temporary hazard mitigation committee. Okay, so they got together, they put together a hazard mitigation plan, said, here are all the hazards that our town faces. We had a fairly large wildfire a couple years back in Exeter. If the wind was blowing south, it likely would have come into Richmond. We've had severe flooding in Wood River. We've had severe droughts over the years that have destroyed quite a bit of our oak forest. You name it, winter storms are bad. We, because of the dead trees, we get power outages a lot. And so these are all things that the town has to consider how to mitigate these to protect people and property. And so when this was brought up, Representative Cotter and then Councilwoman Wilcox brought up the last meeting and said, well, this could be interesting. This could actually help our town. So long story short, I looked at Charlestown's ordinance. I looked at all this other information. I put something together and said, all right, you know, will the council be interested in doing this so we can have an organization in our town that can help us do these things? Because the council, I don't think, has the expertise, doesn't have the time to put into implementing the hazard mitigation plan.
Thank you. Any other?
That's my monologue.
Thank you so much. Any other council input on it? Sure.
Who manages the hazard mitigation plan, Carl?
Well, there's several charges between either the town planner or the EMA director. So it depends on each category of the plan, but it's a requirement of a report annually. But it depends on each section as a charge.
But there is a person that's designated to be in charge of whatever section it is.
Sure, go ahead. We're gonna turn it over to our town planner.
Town planner told you what, for each of the actions, there are different parties that are assigned.
Yeah.
Like enact those actions. It is not as though one person exclusively has control over the plan. It's supposed to be a coordinated effort between planner, EMA, DPW, police department, town administrator, state agencies, federal agencies, depending upon each of the discrete elements of the plan itself.
Right. Correct. Thank you.
It's like the fridge at work. It's no one's responsibility, everyone's responsibility at the same time. There's no one coordinating it. And sometimes you need an entity that can coordinate all of these stakeholders like like a area team leader.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's fair to have it fall onto one staff member to do that, whether it's the planner, the EMA director, or one volunteer commission, such as Conservation Commission has some responsibility in it. I know that this looks like, we're expanding the town, but I think this is it's meant to be a volunteer commission. And they're meant to assist the town in implementing the hazard mitigation, plus also doing more than that. I mean, there are other organizations in place that help, like Firewise is one of them that had been mentioned in the past to help public and private property owners develop mitigation strategies in case there's a wildfire. And it can happen here. We have thousands of acres of woods. And we had a year this past summer where we got into another severe drought. We didn't have rain for weeks and weeks. We're still making up for that. And I think, Exeter was a really good example of what could happen. And I think we need to be somewhat proactive to considering these things.
Any other counselor feedback on the draft ordinance?
No one else.
I don't think so.
What's the life of the hazard mitigation plan? In other words, how long is it
Yeah.
good for? When do we need to update it?
I can't remember off the top of my head,
Probably not.
but it does need to be updated periodically.
It looked, Dan has a date in here. Maybe it was established in August of 2022. Does that sound right?
We revised it.
Yeah.
I need to go to it.
It's not that important, but so it does need to be updated periodically.
Yeah, and the other thing I just want to bring up to the council, there's some consideration if we don't do anything, there's a chance that if there is a federal disaster declaration, that if they find that the town didn't take action, municipalities, that they may not support us with federal money. So there is a potential ramification if we don't do anything. But that's a what if, I don't know.
Yeah. Any other feedback? No? All right, so we'll go into a motion of some kind to take some action here, since there's no further feedback.
Well, I was hoping,
We have
did
more?
anyone, I'm gonna reverse, forget that for a sec. Are there any questions on what is written in this?
I have some nuts and bolts suggestions.
Yes, go ahead.
There are some things I can come up with when I read through it again too, so.
So I'll just go through them quickly. So you've got 7 members and you say 60% have to have specialized knowledge. Well, 60% of 7 is 4.2. So you
Yep.
can't have a 0.2 person.
Mhm.
So you've got to say how many people, not a percent. So just if you want to make it 4 out of 7 have to have specialized knowledge, that should be tweaked. I think we should consider, you've got the EMA director as an ex officio non-voting member. I think you need to consider other staff. I know this is not meant to be a burden on staff, but if staff are tasked with parts of the hazard mitigation plan, they should at least have an opportunity to be somehow involved. I don't know how that is, but I think that's something that you may want to consider. The other thing is you've got the commission reorganizing itself every year. No other commission does that. Once you have a chair and a secretary and a vice chair, it stays that way until somebody leaves.
Planning board does.
Well, everybody.
The commissions I were on did
planning
not do
board,
that.
Okay.
It's until somebody leaves or says, I don't want to do that anymore. Typically, the offices stay the same. So I don't think you need to keep revolving that every year. Those are my nuts and bolts.
When it comes to having staff at the meeting, I would say have it be similar to other boards like the Conservation Commission. They will ask staff members to come as needed for a specific purpose and put that item on the agenda. So if we had no staff members responsible for attending their regular meeting, but they could, I think the EDC does it as well, ask staff to come and then which specific staff member they want and why. with notice and work with kind of anybody within the hazard mitigation plan. I think that would be a good resolution to that.
So I've got two questions for the council to consider. The first one I think is fairly straightforward. I wrote in here, the members need not be Richmond residents. So I had concerns when I came up with this that we may not have the expertise in town, but there may be people that have experts in the area that are willing to assist the town. And if there is someone who's willing to put the time and effort in, I think we should consider them. We could make a statement in here that preference will be given to Richmond residents, but you need not be a Richmond resident to serve on the commission. I don't know how everyone thinks about that.
I have thoughts, but I'll defer to others if anybody else does. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at, in relation to that, I was looking at duties and I was looking at funding. I think it does make sense to have, it open to the opportunity to bring in expertise from other areas. But when it comes to allocating funding or duties required, they may be, I don't know, some kind of limited number of like one individual that is not a resident, limit the number or limit their capacity to vote on funding or something. I just, outside the town, I think that's a hot button issue.
So just to hit on one point you made about funding. So
It's as needed, it says as needed, but
Yeah.
you tie it back to the duties and it says their duties are to, like, they're pretty like concrete of helping the quality of life of the people of Richmond. Like that could take a lot of funding.
Well, I wrote in this, when it comes to, well, it says additional funding, which is the last section.
Goes to the town council.
I want to make sure
Yeah.
the council approves. There's a similar situation at every other board and commission. If they're
Yeah.
asking for money, it's going to go
Line
to
item
the budget
budget.
process.
Yeah.
And justify exactly why you want it. But there's nothing stopping this organization from searching out grants
Mhm.
and then coming to the council and saying, hey, can you approve this grant application? Just
Yeah.
like our other.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Go,
I'm
Jeff.
Yeah, I was gonna repeat what I said last time at the last meeting with, I just think the EMA, some of the stuff was kind of similar to what the resiliency thing was gonna do and the EMA does. So I mean, I just think that they should be the ones to, to contact everybody and make a plan, do all that stuff that you're kind of talking about. I don't know why that's not the case, but yeah, I mean, I just think that we have the departments to do it. It's an ongoing thing. They're working all the time, DPW, to, mitigate all the issues, stuff like that. So, I mean, that's just my feedback.
Yeah, I hear you. I think they are working hard. But I don't think giving them this additional support on another tool in their toolbox, I don't think it would hurt them either. To touch on the residents, I would agree with Jim that we should limit like a number of how many residents from outside of town it could have. One seems low just because of the level of expertise we're looking for. I know we have a lot of smart people in town, but they may not have the time to be here. So I wouldn't want it to be more than half. So I would limit it to anything less than 3. Somewhere between 1 to 3. Any other feedback? Oh, sure. Go ahead, Chief.
So 2018, it was updated. I just found this memo from 22, where we had a virtual public workshop. And I know we were always involved. Police, DPW, fire, planning, virtually every committee and board was invited to participate.
Yeah.
And you kind of read through the plan to those areas that you have specific knowledge and you make recommendations, you change or update. But it says that it's required to be, you have to seek and receive reapproval from FEMA every 5 years. So if it was done in 22,
Yeah.
we need to do it by 2027.
Awesome. Thank you for looking that up.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was a part of that virtual workshop as a conservation commissioner. It was a good day, I think. Sure, go ahead, Erin.
So because this was, kind of back on the agenda, I do think that if we're gonna continue the language that the EMA director serve as an ex officio member, that we should probably have, him at a future meeting to see if he has the bandwidth, because it is, a very part-time stipended position. And then we do have 2 deputy EMA directors. So maybe it might be them that serve on this, should you proceed with that. But I think it'd be important to invite Nick and Jim and Bill Day maybe to a meeting prior to a public hearing, or I mean, it could be part of the public hearing process if you guys move forward tonight on this part, but I definitely want to have buy-in by those that are going to be required to attend.
Thank you.
I get one more point to make to the council, and then I think I've got a direction I think we should take this, and I'll suggest to everyone. So someone reached out to me about this when they saw on the agenda, and they questioned on duties, right? It's pretty broad. It goes over a lot of different things that could happen. And the suggestion was, well, do we want to narrow it down to start and focus on maybe like things that we know affect our community, like, for instance, like prioritize flooding and wildfires? Or do we just leave it broad and let the commission form and let them determine what the priorities are based on the HMP and everything else? And clearly, we're going to have to go through the hazard mitigation plan soon. So if we are able to put this commission together, they can start that process now, kind of get their heads wrapped around what's in it and then how to take action on it. They could also reach out to Charlestown to see how they've kind of put themselves together and what they've been doing as
Right.
well. I think there's some benefits to getting this thing off the ground soon.
Yeah, sure, go ahead, Jim.
I was just gonna say to Jeff's point, if we decide to move this forward to a public hearing, it'd be great to hear from the EMA director and the deputy directors, their perspective on the need or the value add. I'm not gonna speak to the merits either way, but I'd love to hear from them if they think this is gonna be an avenue or a mechanism that can help them. So that, I think that'll be very telling too, you know?
Agreed.
I think what I'd like to do based on this conversation is I want to continue this to the November 4th meeting, ask for our EMA director and deputy directors if they can be present. I will take the feedback, modify the ordinance with track changes so that you can see the changes I made to it. And we can discuss again on the 4th with the EMA director and deputy directors, and then discuss then how we feel about this.
So moved.
Second. Any further council discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll go for our vote.
I would just
Oh,
say, subject to their availability.
Yes, I think it's.
Yeah. We'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
No.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, next unfinished business, we actually already handled, so the first new business is discussion and consideration of employment contract between the town of Richmond and Elwood M. Johnson Jr. Can I have a motion on this, please?
Motion to approve the employment agreement between the town of Richmond and Elwood and Johnson.
Second.
Any council discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
New business two is Counselor Palmigano's. Go ahead.
Sure. And just go ahead and printouts here. So, yeah, put this on the agenda. I think we've had conversations in the past when these topics have come before us to approve.
Did I skip one?
Did you?
I think that's next. That's after his.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's all right. Yeah, so this has come before us a couple times where there've been requests to approve door-to-door sales licenses, and based on some of the feedback from different members of the council in conversations, it was recommended to put this on the agenda for discussion of whether we should approach the ordinance. So tonight is simply a discussion with council of whether we should move forward to draft changes to the ordinance to change the permissions potentially on door-to-door sales, commercial sales. This does not impact anyone going door-to-door for religious reasons or those free speech reasons, nonprofits. This is specifically about commercial door-to-door sales. I think everyone is well aware of my perspective on this. I've had conversations with a lot of members of our community. There's an outcry on a number of reasons. I tried to outline some in the documentation I provided. Public safety concerns, privacy and peace, such that there was a big discussion that took place on the Richmond community page about people coming onto your property and even being bit by an animal, and liability. So it's all over the place. At the end of the day, I think I
I believe that commercial activity should still happen in the way that you receive a mailer or you could receive an online ad. I'm specifically looking to change the way we approach door-to-door sales, people coming to a residence uninvited.
Awesome.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for putting it on the agenda. I know you and I briefly spoke after the last council meeting and I suggested that you put on the agenda. And I think I've said that during the public hearings for those outdoor, I'm sorry, not for outdoor, for the door-to-door sales. Like, we're not here to discuss whether or not we want the license. Please put that up on the agenda so we can discuss whether or not we want it. So I'm glad it's here and that we can move forward with possibly repealing it and making sure that the fine is still included in the language that if you are caught going door to door, that there's a fine. Currently, there is a fine and it's per instance that people go door to door. So it's my understanding that if somebody goes to your door and then every door in your neighborhood, that's another instance. So if you see somebody not doing it, they'll have a higher fine if you rally your neighbors against it. So I'm excited to move it forward. Thank you again for putting it up on the agenda. Any other council feedback? All right. Oh, sure.
I would be opposed to prohibiting commercial speech. I also think it's unconstitutional to single out one area of speech and prohibit it and allow others. And I think, people, talk about the privacy and public safety. We have Amazon, UPS, FedEx going onto people's property every day. I understand people get annoyed. These are uninvited people, but you can't prohibit one area of, commercial speech is protected, and I think it's unconstitutional, and I don't think it's proper. If companies feel that this is an avenue that they can utilize, they should be permitted to do it. We're not being inundated with these license applications. There's only a few. And my other fear is what you're going to create now is an underground network of door-to-door salespeople who we don't know who they are. So at least now they're coming in, they're applying, we know who they are, and we can take action if they're not following the rules. If you want to limit the time, place, and manner in which they do their door-to-door sales, that's fine. But I think prohibiting it altogether is not something I support.
Before we go to you a second time, I'm going to go to Jeff because he hasn't gone yet, and then see if Councilor Madnick wants to add
I
anything.
did want to respond.
Right, but once everyone has a chance to talk, we'll go to you a second time.
I'll
right?
try not to forget.
All right.
I'll be quick. I agree with what Mark said. That's the same stuff I had written down, but what about like a no soliciting registry or something like that where people can call the town and say like, don't want anybody, coming to my house. You make a list, you give that list to the people who are going out and they don't go to the houses. I read up on some of the stuff, some towns do that, have that. So maybe something like that, but I wouldn't go about it the way they try to go about it now.
Interesting concept. Do you have anything you want to add before I go to Jim a second time?
I yield my time to Jim.
All right.
I think you'll be surprised that I have shared agreement with what Councilor Reynolds and Councilor Dinsmore are saying. And all I'm asking is to allow the solicitor to draft a potential ordinance, which he will look at what statutes exist, because we may not be able to do a prohibition. Absolutely. And, I understand, but when you get a FedEx package, you've ordered that and you've invited them to come to your property. You've invited Amazon to come to your property. You have not invited a door-to-door salesperson to come to your house and sell product. Now, that may be unconstitutional to limit. I acknowledge that. And there are other options we could look at. For example, having an opt-in list or increasing the fees, whatever. But I'm specifically putting this forward because the residents of Richmond are saying you need to do something different. Now, I don't know what that is, and I trust the solicitor will come back to us with a draft for us to discuss at great length. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you. I wrote down a few points I wanted to make. One on the safety point that Councilor Reynolds had brought up. I agree with that because if somebody's going door to door for religious reasons, not needing to come to us for a license, there's no background check happening. if a candidate, somebody wants to run for office, there is no background check for that. It's a form that you're registered to vote. But if they're coming to us as a council, it is based on their background check. So we are making sure that they're safe. And then the point that was made about the opt-in list, I like it, but I also don't, because I wouldn't want to put that work on our staff. They're already wearing multiple hats, but also I wouldn't want the town to take on the liability of somebody being on or off the list and miscommunication, another thing for us to manage. I think a no soliciting sign at the end of the driveway works. One by your, yeah, something like that, that the person should take on that responsibility themselves, and we should have responsible people going door to door. But yeah, I'm excited to see if it's a issue with our First Amendment.
I started working on it this afternoon. I've already got some case law.
Yep, move to motion to authorize the solicitor to draft a example ordinance for how we would approach this of controlling door-to-door sales in Richmond.
I understand.
Second, any council discussion further on this? All right, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
No.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano,
Yes,
Reynolds,
No.
and Wilcox, yes.
thank you.
You're welcome. Next item is the discussion. Now we're on to Counselor Madnick's discussion on the land use policy. Thank you for putting this together. Do you want to open it up with a discussion and a motion?
Sure, yeah, we can discuss this. So, a couple meetings back, Councilwoman Wilcox, myself submitted a fairly long, it was like 100 pages of all this documentation about how we should go about utilizing town property for public or private events. And this kind of stemmed from some of the issues that we're into having PVD food trucks. And we felt, okay, I think it's time, especially since we're getting 4 Richmond Townhouse Road put together, that we need to have a very clear and fair policy that everyone can read and understand, and it doesn't matter who you are. Now you know what it is, and there's going to be no arguing and determining contracts in public. It's going to be, this is the policy. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Tons of towns have this. Staff put this together, and I've gone through it. I guess I can ask some questions if you want to start off. Or
I have questions, but I will let you put your questions first if you'd like.
yeah, sure.
I'd rather do.
So just to back up a little bit real quick, is one of the things we had agreed upon is that we want to put this in an ordinance, so it's clear. And so we've got this draft ordinance, and I'll just kind of go through the questions and we can kind of take it from there. I didn't see anything here about, a separate policy for town entities using facilities such as like Conservation Commission, Recreation Commission, things of that nature. There is no discussion in here about alcohol or cannabis usage. Does the permit define what is in the application? If it does, then we may need to put more details in the ordinance, or it's going to be some type of wording that says, the application shall include is not limited to the following information. There's going to be a separate application that the town is going to manage. And then the other question is, what defines the penalty, right? So if we rent out property, for example, is it trash left over? Is it vandalization? Is it people that have, if we prohibit alcohol, someone has alcohol, so like, where are those details going to be? They're going to be in an application? Are they separate document? Is the ordinance just very high level? Is something detailed? So I just want to bring those questions to the council to consider while we go through this.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like how far would we go? If somebody has a dog breed meetup at the dog park, are we going to find them because they had a meetup? Stuff like that, we'd have to figure out. But the questions I had, or the comments I had back, was that there was no title here. So I think that this would just replace what we have for, or be included for Title 12, Chapter 12.04. And then I was surprised to see that the responsibilities were put under the town clerk. I would think, I don't know which staff member put that together, but I would think that this would go under the rec director, because we're going to have the rec director be managing the property at 4 Richmond Townhouse, and it would just make sense to have it be one point person versus this property, this person, and that property, that person, just one point person for all use for consistency. And another point that Councilor Madnick brought up, but it was, your point was limited to the groups and commissions. It looks like this is limited to private citizens. And if somebody were in a business or a nonprofit, how would they apply and would this apply to them? So just adding a definition to them would be helpful. Any other counselor feedback? Sure, go ahead.
I think it's overly broad. You read this, any person who wants to go use a playground has to get a permit.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
quite frankly, it's a bit ridiculous. You know, what we're, I think, trying to regulate is organized activity on town property that would exclude others. So in other words, I want to use this area and no one else can do it while I'm doing it. So it's an exclusive use of the property. At least I think, not just, hey, I want to go hang out in the pavilion and have a picnic with my family. You know, under this, you need a permit. You know, so I think you really have to better define what types of uses a permit's required for. I mean, you've got insurance requirements in here. You're gonna, I want to have a, I want to have a family birthday party. Well, you gotta have $1 million coverage. So I think it needs to be better defined what you're talking about. So I think it needs to be reworked.
Agreed. Any feedback on this end?
Agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of what Councilor Mandic had said too, like, it's, where's the line? So we need to further define where the line is.
Good first step to.
Definitely.
So I could probably answer some of the questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so this draft initially came out well after the initial paring down. So I think we went from the large documentation and the town solicitor, and I think Karen had worked on this previously, to pare it down. And so some of the stuff like town clerk, rec director discussions was so not happening. So I think it was a point to get something in there, but you're right. It should be that managing some of that, but some of the permitting for other instances would go through the town clerk's office. So some of that would be, the rec director would be managing it, but if there's going to be a permit issued, permits for that type of thing would be issued through the town clerk's office typically. We also didn't really, insurance and stuff. And so it was for more organized activity. So I think there definitely needs to be a definition of that. But we also, I think, have to take a look at what we may not want to permit, because that vagueness could put the town, in question. Are we allowing, public, are we, allowing political, those kind of things? I know we have activism in a different section of the code, but if we're, are we allowing those functions, which typically some towns prohibit, some towns don't. So, this was kind of an initial conversation for some more direction, paring down the large volume. So I would like that to be more detailed. So when it goes out to draft, what that would look like for sure. As well as, I do think we need to define what a permit would be. I see it as, the insurance requirements, if we're solely renting out a use and we're having a large volume of people coming there, it might be suitable for that insurance requirement. We are hopefully going to have a brand new facility. We want to ensure that we have coverage, or they have coverage to prepare, in case some kind of damage happens. So we don't want to limit ourselves by being, also wanting to be flexible, because we do see it as, everybody should be able to use it because it is, that kind of thing. But we haven't really defined use of the playground. So people I know have birthday parties at the playground all the time, but it's not organized playgrounds. We're not opening, say, the bathrooms, because the bathrooms aren't going to be open in the new pavilion all the time. So there's some sort of taking the fee in for that cost, or of servicing that and the additional costs. That's going to come into play with how we decide what types of uses, and the impact of what those uses will be. So those kind of need to be vetted out a little bit more.
I guess one of the other,
Okay. Oh.
well, one of the other things I guess we need to consider, is, are we going to, as a town, do we want to rent out the use of the pavilion for a party such as the way, Charlestown and Jamestown and Groton, Connecticut, it does in Washington Park? Or do we leave it open and it's kind of a free for all? No one can rent it. It's first come, first serve. You're there, you're there. If you're not, you're not. I guess that's just a policy decision we have to make, how we want to handle that.
I think there's an added benefit of having a fee and renting and having exclusiveness. It also will build, I think, future development at that site, but it also sets some site of criteria when two people have a birthday party on the same weekend,
Right.
and who gets, who's going to manage who got there first, who gets to use it, and they spend 6 hours there. If there's no well, they came here first. I think.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor
Yeah,
Palmigano.
and it was part of the messaging to the public that it would be revenue generating opportunity, and B, that it was also part of the duties that the recreation director would be managing to do that. So yes, I definitely think that should be part of it.
For sure. All right, so any other council feedback on the draft we have in front of us today? All right, so should we do a motion to continue it to a future meeting undetermined to give staff time to do that?
Second. So moved. So moved.
All right, I'll second it. Any council discussion? Sure, go ahead.
Yes. So who's gonna take this over for staff? Kind of, is this something where you want to work with two counselors to go through instead of putting in all your time and then getting back to the council and we've got more questions?
I'm fine with that. Or we would need more specific criteria for Chris and I to get an ordinance back to you in a month. So I'm okay with staff working with two individual council like we've been doing on a lot of the other projects, or, if you want to define more areas, or we can take another stab and give it back to you.
I will offer a suggestion. Mark seems to be really in tune with this. It's up to him if he wants to be involved, or our two council members, one of them or both of them that are working on Forward from Townhouse Road. Obviously, I've had interest in this, but came out of wanting to make some changes from the PUD food truck situation. I'd be open to it, or Jeff if he's interested too.
I mean, I'm fine, I guess, sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Likewise.
fine.
Yeah.
Have to.
Also open to it. I mean,
Who wants to pull the short straw then?
I'd be happy to continue to go through it because we did go through it before together. I'd be happy to continue going forward with it.
Sure. You guys okay if Sam and I work on it?
So moved.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll coordinate.
So we do have our motion, we have our second. Any further council discussion? You have something? Nope. All right, we'll go for a roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yeah.
Reynolds.
Yes,
And myself, yes.
Motion to go past 9 o'clock? Sadly.
Oh, I don't hear a second.
Question, if we do not motion to go past, does executive session also end?
Yes.
Or
I think we need to do 6.
Yeah.
so I think we should continue 4, we do 6, we go to executive session, we get out of here.
So we don't need to do anything about 9?
second?
All right, so that was a motion to continue item 4, communications, to the next meeting.
Okay.
No, item 4 of
New
of
business.
new business.
Yeah, that's what I meant, 4 of new business and all the communications. L,
Okay, go.
1 and 2. All right, we're gonna spend more time discussing this than anything. All right, so make your motion.
Motion to continue item 4 of new business to the
November 4th.
November 4th marathon.
Thank you for clarifying.
Second.
We have a second on that? All right, we'll go for a vote. Counselor Dinsmore,
Yes.
Madnick,
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes,
and myself, yes.
Motion to go past 9 PM.
no. Motion to approve request of Roberta Engel to utilize Town Hall porch gazebo for Veterans Day, November 11th, card initiative.
Second. All right, we'll go for a roll call vote. Counselor Dinsmore, Madnick?
Yes.
Palmigano?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
Motion to file communications, petitions, proclamations, and resolutions from other Rhode Island cities and towns.
Second.
Go for a vote, Counselor Dinsmore?
Yes.
Madnick?
Yes.
Yes.
Palmigano? Reynolds?
Yes.
And myself, yes. We do still need that motion to go past 9, so we can go upstairs. So if we could please have that motion to go past 9.
Motion to go past 9 PM.
Second.
Roll call vote, Counselor Dinsmore?
Yes.
Madnick?
Yes.
Palmigano?
Yes.
Reynolds?
No.
And myself, yes. Can I have a motion to go into executive session? I promise you it will be quick.
Motion to go to enter executive session pursuant to RI General Laws 42-46-584, investigative proceedings regarding allegations of civil misconduct.
Second, we'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore?
Yes.
Madnick?
Yes.
Palmigano?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Are we back on? Can we please have a motion to exit executive session?
So moved.
We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion to seal the minutes of the executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We'll go for our vote. Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.
Palmigano.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
And myself, yes. No votes were taken in executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Counselor Dinsmore.
Yes.
Madnick.
Yes.